So let me finish telling you the story of this group interview.
Cool.
So, yeah. So again, there was no expectations for like that it was going to be a group interview. I show up the day of, and I'm noticing they told me that my interview was at 11, and I was like, okay, cool. And they're like, don't be a minute late. Applicants won't be allowed in after 11.
What the fuck?
So it's like it's best to show up 15 minutes early. And I was like, okay, again, this is a social media position for a fucking it was, a contractor company. I'm just like, what the like, why are they being so crazy? Whatever. Why are they being so corporate?
Right.
I was like, okay, whatever, that's fine. So I show up and I see, as I'm walking out of my car towards the entrance of the building, I'm seeing other people walk up, like different ages, and I'm just like, these don't look like other contractors. Once I get through the door, there's a woman there, and it's not like a typical reception desk. I noticed that where I walk in from is like an auditorium, kind of like it's a really big space, and I'm like, what the fuck is this place? But anyways, I walk in and there's a woman, and she has like a long table, and she's just sitting there at the table, and she's like, okay, can I get your name, and if you can just sign in, and here's like a name tag you can put on yourself. And I'm like, a fucking name tag? And then it started to click, and I was like, oh fuck, this is gonna be a group thing, right? So she's like, if you could just follow this gentleman to your left here, he's gonna walk you to the back, and then just wait till 11 o'clock, and and the whole process will begin. So I'm just like sweating bullets, because I'm like, I've never done a group interview. I wasn't prepared for this, confidence is at an all-time low. I'm just like, oh my god, what's going on? I walk in, I see all the other people. We're sat in like a somewhat, so if you can imagine like there being a meeting table with all the chairs around the meeting table, but then just remove the meeting table. So it's like chairs are in a straight row facing each other with two at the end, and there's about like 12 chairs.
Oh no.
Yeah. 16 applicants show up, so a couple people have to sit like on a couch to the side. So I'm just like, oh my god, this is fucking great, So I'm just sitting there waiting for 11 o'clock to kick in to see like what the fuck this is about. Like I'm like, I don't want to do this at this point. So the guy walks in, barely, he's like a normal looking guy, and he just jumps straight into the company. He talks about the company values. He talks about the kind of culture that they come from and that they're trying to make, and that they're basically trying to make like the Super Bowl team of like marketing. Basically, they're trying to get like the A team, so they're trying to get the best of the best. And I'm just like, oh my god, like rolling my eyes.
Yeah, he thought
yeah,
about
like also let me add a little bit more detail to the room that we were in. So the room that we're in is like a very like modern chic kind of look. Like it has like the fake grass on the floor, and then it has like all these inspirational quotes on the walls that feel like super, I don't know, they're just super corny, like just like lame ass shit that you're just like, okay. Like they don't feel authentic. It just feels very performative. Like it's all about mindset, or if you fail, you don't fall, you get back up, just like shit that you're just like, oh my god,
Respect
with like
others. The shit that you would see in like a middle school classroom.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
oh,
like
I went to the same teacher store for this.
So I'm just like thinking to myself, like man, like I can already tell the type of people that I'm gonna have to be dealing with. And sure enough, the guy that led the interview was that kind of person. So he's talking about the cultural values, and he's saying that this is an interview that we'll remember for the rest of our lives and that we'll never forget. And he's basically just setting us up and being like, yeah, this is a very, very different interview. And I'm like, fuck, dude, just tell us what you're gonna fucking do. Like, what?
What's the job?
Yeah, exactly. What is the job? Like, help us out here. You're not giving us anything, except for the fact that you guys have all these values. So after he goes through that, he's like, okay, I want you guys to introduce yourself in a minute and 30 seconds and explain like what it is that you guys feel you would bring to the role. So give me your name, experience, and what you think you would bring to the role in a minute and 30 seconds. And our podcast listeners already know that I'm not gonna say I'm like slow, but like
You're not a minute and 30 second.
Yeah, I couldn't explain to you like why, like what my experience and all this in a minute and 30. Like that's just not me, you know. And so I was like, fuck, you know. And he's like, is there any volunteers for who would want to go first? And I'm just like, not me, obviously. I want to see what the competition has. So everybody starts going, you know, bunch of niggas that are like overqualified. Some people that not super qualified, but qualified enough, you know. I eventually get to my part and I botch it. I don't say my name, you know, because everybody's like, oh, my name. Yeah, I just go straight in. I'm like, look, what I'm trying to bring to this company is, you know, blah, 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 you know, trying to not check boxes. You know, I'm trying to like actually make an impact with you guys' social media and not just like make static posts about like customer testimonials. Like we're trying to do something different. You guys need something different. And yeah, I went too long, obviously. He's like, and that's a minute and 30, you know, and I'm just like, fuck.
He was actually timed. Oh no.
No, yeah. He timed everybody. So which led me to believe that what was probably happening was that he was just watching to see how concise we could be with the communication. Because he was watching the clock more than he was listening. And I'm like thinking to myself, like, if I was timing somebody and they were talking, I probably would be more focused on like if they're gonna meet the minute and 30. Cause he would like be watching the clock and then like hitting it, you know. So that was test 1. And I was like, well, I failed that. Anyways, next test is like, I'm gonna go he's like, I'm gonna go around and I'm gonna pick whoever. I'm gonna ask you a question. And I'm only going to ask the question once. I don't like to repeat myself. So if I ask a question and I say Sondi, and then I say Benji next, I expect that you were listening to the question initially. And that I'm not going to repeat myself. You know, so I'm like, oh God. Which it was harder than it seemed because the minute someone answers the question and you're thinking about their answer, and you're like, wait, they're answering it weird. Or like, yeah, what was the question again, you know? So that was a whole thing. I think I did okay there, but he was a bit confused by a lot of my answers. And I was like, come on, man, it's not that hard. Like one of his questions was like, do you think that you are more consistent or intense? And he's like, you can't be both. It's one or the other. And that's all that the question is. And he's like, and answer why you think you're, you know, like one of those things.
What is this parameters? What do you mean consistent or intense?
That's exactly how I felt. I was like, that's not enough. And then also he gave us these like, you can only answer this in 3 sentences. So I'm like, who talks in sentences? Like, what am I supposed to say? Like,
when do you know when period?
That was one sentence. Like,
comma and
yeah,
semicolon.
I was getting so frustrated, but then I was like, this is where I think me and him I was like, oh yeah, if you're my boss, we're gonna not really be getting along with some of these things because he's a very like, oh, it's either this or that. Like there's no in between, right? And I was like, oh, I think I'm a more intense person, but I'm not gonna argue that is the better way to be. I think that consistency is better. And he's like, wait. So you're saying that you're more intense, like but you think that being consistent is better? And I was like, yeah. Like, what is so hard about that? Like, yeah. I'm natural. Like, I'm just
consistent
naturally.
And intense is 2 different scales because it's like, are you intense or chill? And are you consistent or inconsistent? I think that's the like metrics that people go off. So it's like, I can be an intense, consistent person.
Exactly. And I'm just like, come on, man. Like, I don't like. I was trying to explain to him like, if I'm really into something, I can be really into it for 6 months, and I'll like go all in, or 3 months or something, or maybe even just a weekend or something. I'd be like, I'm really into this thing right now, and I'm like giving it my all. But I recognize that sometimes I cannot be motivated enough to keep it consistently going. And I think consistency is important. And that's what I was trying to tell him. Like, I'm more naturally intense and I have to work at being consistent. But there are people that are just more consistent but don't have the same intensity or my passion to put into something. But all that to say, he was confused about my answer, and I'm like, it's not that hard, man. I'm telling you that I'm intense, but I think consistency is probably the better way to be. Like, I don't know what to tell you, you know. So after that, he's like, okay, so we're done with the questions part. Now we're gonna move into the basically a fucking game show arts and crafts type shit.
What the fuck, bro? Is this for marketing or Squid Game?
Yeah,
what the fuck is
bro,
going on?
I thought it was like at some point I'm like, is this gonna be like I'm waiting for like a camera to come out and be like, you know, this is like some.
Yeah, so you're on Impractical Jokers. We caught you.
Yeah, this is not an interview at all. This is just so basically behind us was a couple of tables, and there was 20. There's about 20 pieces of pasta, like just spaghetti, like long pieces of dried pasta, right? And then a stretch of maybe about 3 feet of electrical tape, just like one strip, some scissors, and a marshmallow, like a pretty good sized piece of marshmallow, right? And he's like, okay, the idea here is that you create the tallest structure with these tools, and I'm gonna split you guys up into teams of 4. Teams all have already been chosen, and the rules are that you cannot use the mushroom as the base. It has to be at the top. You cannot cut the marshmallow into pieces with the scissors, and you cannot. There was another rule, but I can't remember what it was. So he splits us up into fucking groups, and I'm just at that point, nigga, I'm like,
I'm leaving this interview, bro. Fuck this shit.
Yeah, I'm just like, come on, dude. What? At that point, I had a question. I'm like, what job did I apply for? Because I'm like,
you still haven't explained the job.
Yeah, I'm just like, I saw the job posting. I'm like, this still is just social media content creator, not fucking like CMO of the company. Like, why are you trying to like, what is all this? You know, it just felt very extreme for what they were trying to do. But anyways, so ultimately the team that I was on wins. So that's good. That was a good thing. And he's like, okay, I want to talk about why everybody failed, and why you think, you know, like your ideas on why maybe your specific team didn't win, you know. And so he went through and everybody was like, oh, you know, we did this, we thought it was that, we didn't follow the rules, whatever. He gets to our team, and I was just trying to give credit to the other people because there was a guy that really took the lead on at least the overall structure. So I was like, yeah, I think he really built it out well, and then it was up to me and the other team to support that by either scaling his idea back, because the guy like really wanted to go big, and I'm like, no, we need to
cut it by 2x4s, and then we need to glue it to the bottom, and then we need to stick it in the back.
Like he was like, it's gonna be super tall. I'm like, no, we're not gonna have enough time or support to have it be this tall, so let's just cut it back. So, you know, we had to rein him in. But ultimately he was like, okay, now I want to know in 30 seconds again why you think you'd be good for the position, and if you don't get the position, who in this room do you think should get the position? And I'm just like, nigga, what? Why? Like, I don't know these people.
Yeah, this nigga deserves money over me, even though I got bills to pay. No.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just like, come on. Like, luckily I was chosen twice. There was a couple people that were chosen twice, maybe like 4 people, and then one person that was chosen 3 times. And so this is where I think I lost my opportunity again. So right before we were done, he was just explaining like why the arts and crafts game, like why they did it, and he was like, oh, do you know the group of people that really excel at this game or whatever, you know, building this? And everybody was like, no, you know. And someone was like, kids? And he's like, yeah, it's kids. You know, kids specifically under the age of 10, you know, are really good at this. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, are we supposed to be impressed by that? Because I'm like,
Are we doing
under
content
10?
for kids? Like, is that
Well,
what we're doing?
because I'm thinking kids under 10 would be in grade school, and so they would be doing arts and crafts already. So they would have the like prerequisite, not like experience because
They do
they're
that shit for
kids.
fun on a normal day. They go, hey, I got
they're
some
playing-
bullshit in the closet.
Yeah, they're playing with blocks. The teachers are like, okay, today we're gonna be doing this. Like, I'm just like, what you? That would have been. I would have been more surprised if you had us do like an Excel spreadsheet, and then you were like, you know what group really excels at this, and then you were like kids, because it's just like, it's like, yeah, nigga, you just gave us. Yeah, like, it's like, nigga, you just gave us a fucking preschool project and then told us that, you know who's good at this? Preschoolers. And it's just like, okay, like, but anyways, I was outspoken and I told him, I was just like, because the way he was framing it was like, oh yeah, it's so impressive that kids can do this because they're so like, you know, uninhibited and like don't overthink it. And I was like, well, it could also be the fact that speaking out of turn, I was like, well, it could also be the fact that kids under 10 are typically in grade school and are in arts and crafts classes with their teachers. And so they have more experience with building stuff like this because they're playing with like noodles and tape and pasta on the regular. Whereas us, as like 30-year-old adults, haven't touched that kind of shit in probably like 15 years or so. Yeah. So it's like, it's not that impressed. And right there, I was like, oh, that's it. Disqualified myself. Yeah. But at that point, I was just so annoyed and done that I was just like, stop trying to make it seem like, yeah. At that point, I was like, you know, fuck, like, stop trying to make it seem like this is like some fucking squid, like, this is gonna really weed out the talent and like the brilliant people from the, like, you know, so.
Unless you accidentally applied the Jubilee or some shit. I don't understand what the real premise of this is.
I think the idea of it, like, oh, if you're trying, like, I don't know, let's just say you and me are trying have a business with Boater, and we're opening a position and we get a bunch of applicants, but you and me are like, dude, we need somebody who's gonna be creative, who has the taste that we have, you know, and is willing to put in the work and is consistent or something. And we're like, let's hold a fucking Squid Games-esque.
Let's hold up Boater's Squid Games. I need you to play Crimson Tears and get to the second part right now.
See, what we would do is maybe quiz them on things about the game that would, or not about the game. We would quiz them on things about games that we like. Maybe we would just overall design a system that is more geared towards what we do and what the job would demand.
Right.
But like this other arts and craft shit that this nigga was doing, I'm like, you're not gonna be doing any of this in the actual job. So then why would this be a good measure? This is like a general measure of just like, oh yeah, you're generally good at crafts. But that general,
but
how's that gonna help you in the
marketing social media manager? Like,
yeah, like that
let's
doesn't
talk about that.
Yeah, like maybe if I was like, okay, on each table are 5 phones, and I want you to come up with a piece of content around like a 15-second piece of content around this topic, you know, and the person who has like the most catchy one, you know, will vote on it, wins, or just like something that's more related to the job.
Here's
that
the
would
pasta
actually
and the marshmallows, and like make a TikTok out of this, and whoever has the funniest TikTok. Doesn't have to be like related to anything, like
exactly like cool. Advertise it or something, I don't know, but it was just like very performative, and it felt very much like trying to be like, we're just trying to be really different just for the sake of being different, but it's not really gonna apply to the actual job. It was bullshit. But they called me soon after and they were like, yeah, sorry, we've decided to not hire you. And I was like, yeah, that's fine. I was like, yeah, that's probably for the best because I would not have fit in there.
You said I would have declined that application.
Yeah, I think honestly, like, I mean, as bad as I needed the job, I was like, yeah, I don't think I'd be a good fit here. I'd just be like butting head, like, yeah, it wouldn't have been good. All that to say that was my first group interview, and it was just awful. And I'm sorry if anybody else ever has to do a fucking interview like that, because it's so ridiculous. Luckily, I did get a job, so that's nice. Yeah, so I'll be a marketing manager, which, dude, I didn't even tell you the story of how I lost my job specifically. Or did I?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Well, kind of. No. Well, yeah, you just told me about the COVID part and him like tweaking.
Yes.
But that's about it.
Okay, so I'll try and tell the story real quick here. So for those of you who don't know, a lot of you maybe do, but I did lose my job at the beginning of March. I got fired. Like, I was straight up like, last year I was laid off, which is a different feeling. When you're laid off and you get like a severance check.
Man. But it's okay.
Yeah. It's like we're just down. We're just we don't need the marketing team for the direction that we're moving in. You've done great work. We're giving you a severance package. Go. You're free. You got 2 more weeks with us. It's all planned. You know what I mean? Getting fired though is just like sudden.
You're done.
Yeah, you walk in one day, and it's just like, oh, that's it for me. Okay. Yeah, like
current position is right now, because that's why it's been a delay. I also got laid off in January. So
was it January?
Yeah, it was like the end of January.
Early?
Which is very shitty because the end of January is when we finish all of our like busiest work. And they were like, okay, cool. You finished all the busy work? All right, now fire these guys. So that kind of sucked.
No severance either?
We got severance. So
okay. Well, that's nice.
Yeah, that was clutch. It did help out, but it got to a point in the job market that I was like, I just need something to put food on the table. So I work at a restaurant now, and I didn't realize how cutthroat restaurants are. Yeah. Bro, my manager literally this morning was arguing with one of the other servers because they didn't want to come in today. And she was like, no, you got to come in. And she just like cut her. It was like, that's it, you're gone. And I'm like, damn. Shit kind of crazy. Like it's really like that, and I didn't realize how cutthroat it is. But luckily, I won't have to do it for long. But I mean, it's been chill, but it also is very draining of my life. Like, for example, tomorrow I'll be there, open to close, all day, 11 to 11. Same thing Sunday. Same thing Saturday. Well, not Saturday, but same thing Sunday. And it's like, it's taxing on you to just be standing all day, scooping cups of ice and talking to people and stuff like that. Because after a while, my social battery, you know me, my social battery after a while is like, I'm ready to go.
That's why I was kind of like, I was like, wow, Sondi's gonna be a fucking.
That's why I don't really be like talking to my tables like that. I'd be like, all right, here's the shit.
Just straightforward. Yeah, just straightforward.
I'm not doing the most.
What do you need?
I'm not about to go over here and talk with you and conversate your life. You are here to have a conversation with this person that you're eating with. If you wanted to have a conversation with me, you would talk to me. Like, if you talk to me, I'll talk to you. But I'm not going to be like, yeah, how's the kids? Da 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 da. Where are you guys coming from? I'm not going to do that. I only do that when like I'm holding the little payment thingy to them to like pay, and I'm just waiting on them to pay, and I'm like, oh, okay. So what are you guys here for? Yeah. Other than that, I'm not talking to people, bro. I want to get the fuck and go. Same with my coworkers. And like they just found out yesterday that I was married. They were like, you're married? And I was like, I feel like I've talked about my wife, and I wear a ring like every day. Yeah. But I guess, I don't know.
You don't look like you'd be married. that's what they're saying. Like, you are married?
Well, to be fair, most of these people working here are like early 20s, like 21, 22 type. So like, I'm the only 30-year-old here. So they're like, you're 30? What? And I'm like, yeah, like only people like older than me are working in the kitchen area. So
of course, that's always the case. Funny.
Yeah. So it's kind of been very, I would also say toxic as well. And I'm just like, oh man, I miss corporate. Like, I never thought I would say it, but I do miss corporate America.
Like the structure, there's a safety a little bit to it,
right?
Know?
People actually do their jobs.
Yeah.
It's
as far as like, so let's see, you got that job pretty soon after you got let go.
Yeah, it's been about 2 months
Um,
now. I've had that job because like soon as I got laid off, I think I had like 2 weeks where I was just like, damn, this sucks.
mhm.
Well, I'm gonna just vibe. And after the well, I was applying to everything, but then after the 2 weeks, I was like, all right, I need a job, so I'm gonna just apply to all the server positions and got this one and been working there ever since. So it was like right before Valentine's Day. So yeah, it was like 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I won't, dude. I won't. I won't lie, but I kind of like fell into a bit of a like depression. Like I got just really. I think I just realized like, man, what the like after being cut so easily, I think my after being cut so easily when I was doing probably some of my best work, I was just like, man, what am I doing? Like I have no proper safety net in terms of like I just didn't have a backup plan. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, no.
And then I was thinking of like I was thinking about just marketing in general, and I'm just like I needed that marketing manager position to bolster my resume. And so losing that position, I was scared. I was like, damn. That was like I felt like that was like my one chance, that position, my one chance to actually build up the experience to move up within the marketing like chain, you know what I mean?
But still, on your resume, it still say marketing manager, and you can just be like, "Hey, the company didn't need me no
Yeah.
more. It was just one dude and his fucking, it was just one dude and his like homie. That's it."
Yeah. And so it was. So I guess I just was like really scared and just felt like, man, I don't know what I'm gonna do. You know, I felt like I really just felt like if I was gonna have to work at like a, you know, like a grocery store or whatever, that I'd be very defeated. So I just felt, I was just feeling so down, man. I was like, man, I cannot. And this was actually, this was before we even decided to slow down Boater. Or I'm sorry, no, this was, yeah, we
we were about to record Samurai Shampoo, and then both of them shits happens, and it was kind of like, all right, I just need to focus real quick.
Yeah, I think our lives have sort of shifted because of like our jobs and stuff. But it's been hard, and God, it just made me think of so many things. Like, one, I was like, man, if we could really get Boater to work, you know, to have that as like some supplemental income, or if we could really get, or if I could get like a specific social media channel to like, you know, start bringing in money, because I was able to get, when I was working at that company I got fired from, I was able to get their social media to start generating like revenue. That's how like good the posts, you know, were performing consistently. And I was like, man, why don't I put this much effort into our shit or my own shit? You know, like it would, how nice, because
you're not
getting paid
like salary to do Boater though, so that's the issue.
Yeah. And yeah, I've spent 8 hours fucking crafting things and trying to figure out like, you know, we don't spend 8 hours a day on Boater stuff. That'd be a whole different story.
Yeah.
But even still, you know, I was just thinking about like, damn, I'm 34 and just got fired from like the one job that I thought was really gonna like help me get other jobs. So yeah, I was just feeling so down, man. I was like, and then just video games too. I was like, I've spent so much time playing video games, and I could have, you know, really spent that time creating another form of income or something, because I know that I'm talented and I have a lot of ability when it comes to making beats, making graphics, making videos. Like I have a lot of inclinations toward those things, and I'm like, I could be doing that for other people. I could you know, I have my videography business. I wasn't really like being too aggressive with like finding clients and shit. And so yeah, I just felt like I felt like a loser. Like I was just like, man.
No, I definitely agree, because when I got the position at this restaurant, I also got a position as a dishwasher at another restaurant, and I was like, do I want to be a server or a dishwasher? And of course, you know, ultimately I chose a server because there's more money involved and stuff like that, being able to get your money put on. Like, tips. I definitely felt the same way, where I was like how you said before, how you had a position for like a couple years with like the truck company, where it was like like that's kind of how I was feeling before I even got fired, where I was like, I don't know where it next is in this position. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what's next to do. And we've talked about this before on like other boaters, where I was like, I kind of just feel like I was just there. And I did, luckily, I spruced up my resume beforehand and prep, because I did start looking at like roles and applying to different positions. But like, yeah, I feel you on that, where it's like my skills, and luckily, I have a family friend that was able to help me out with getting a position, but it's still going to take a little while to get in and stuff like that. But like, I see an outcome of, okay, I see where I can go, and I can see where I can move from there now and pivot in terms of like
Right.
fields and stuff. But yeah, for like, I felt the same way, where I was like, it's kind of sucks, because we really could have been on like, right, because that was like, I got fired literally the week after coming back from MagFest, and I took off for
Which
that.
is expensive.
Yeah, I took off,
Yeah.
spent all that money to go up to MagFest and stuff like that, performing. And when I was leaving, I was kind of on a high, where I was like, I was really fun. I think I can like pivot and start like DJing on the weekends, and like really like making mixes consistently, and like really getting on my shit, and like doing this. And it helped, because weirdly enough, I got my dad turntables a couple years for Christmas, and he's been more active getting gigs and DJing for people than I have. And he's been trying to put me on and being like, hey, because I live like 2 hours away from him. So he's like, hey, like if you want to do a gig or something like that, just let me know. And I was like, okay, I can start doing this. And yeah, I just kind of was like, damn, all this time that I'm spending, the 15 hours that I spent playing Crimson Desert the other day, I could have spent that 15 hours writing a script, or editing a video, or editing a mix, or looking for new music, or making an EPK to send out to different businesses to license my DJing skills or something like that. And one of the biggest like things that I hear a lot of YouTubers and just people in general talk about when it comes to like making content about video games is that you don't play a lot of video games. And that's kind of been like the core essence of Back of the Rack, is that we have to play a video game in order to make the next episode of Back of the Rack. And where I think, you know, hopefully most YouTubers are playing their game, finishing it, and then making a review or commentary or whatever they're talking about that game. But I do get it, where it's like the effort could be there. You know what I'm saying? Like, we could definitely put out more, but I don't want to just churn out shit either. You know, I don't want to just become an apparatus of, you know how like the new meta is streaming on YouTube and then doing those streams as highlights, and then just posting that constantly about whatever topic you were talked about on stream, and that just being your content now is just stream highlights. I don't want that to become us. I don't want to become that, because we have a clear goal with Back of the Rack. And that's kind of why I've been thinking about expanding not only mainly the book club part and the participation of it all, where it's like, even if we pick a game that's not a book, like if we have like our own game of like, these are the 7 games that we're going to cover throughout the year for Back of the Rack. And then if you're in the Discord, every month we're going to just be playing this game in the background, and you can hang out with us, talk with us about it or whatever like that. And it not necessarily having to be in the constraints of, oh yeah, it's got to be at least before 7th generation. It's got to be long neglected, not respected. Like, it still has something, of course, it's still got to be long neglected, not respected. But like, okay, let's go indie. Let's go SNES. Let's play Terranigma. You know, something that's easily emulatable, or something that everybody has readily accessible, or something like that everybody can play. I think that would be nicer for us, because I would rather I like the community that we brought. I like Cade, I like Cosmo, I like the gang that we have fostered here, and having more people that have that same like fervent love for games of this ilk. I would much rather foster that relationship with those people over making a bunch of topical videos, or making a bunch of videos and unfortunately getting the wrong audience. Because I gotta admit, from my time beforehand with making videos about like MMOs, I definitely got a lot of, I want to say, the bad eggs of the MMO genre in there, because I was talking shit about most of these MMOs and stuff like that, because it's just first impressions of me. I'm like, I hate the first impressions of this game, because most MMOs is about the end game and the end game raids and PvP. So I would talk about the first impressions, and people would be like, well, you didn't get 100 hours into the end game PvP, and you didn't even raid, and you didn't even hit. And I'm like, that's not the point of this video. The point of this video is explaining that, like, the first part of this MMO sucks. Like, if you were to download this MMO today and play it, this is how it would be, and it fucking sucks. And yeah, so when I tried to pivot from that into just making just like, you know, typical reviews, kind of sort of like back of the rack, where it's like, I'm just going to talk about nano breakers or hydrophobia. Yeah, you could see it where it's like, I make one video about this MMO and it gets 10K views, and then you make this video about Ruiner and you get 300 views or fucking 20 views for or something like that. And it's kind of like it's very disheartening. And I don't want to say that in terms of like searching for the views, because I've always been under the proponent of, I don't think we're supposed to be seeing 1 million views. I don't think 1 million people seeing your work is good for the psyche. Like that, like that's not a metric that the average person should be reaching for. Like the average person, like getting a consistent 5K or even 10K is like, okay, you're good. You're doing your thing.
Right.
You have your dedicated audience. But like, people shouldn't be like, oh, my video didn't hit. Like when like the YouTube switch happened and everybody was like, oh, my views are going down. I went from getting consistently 400,000 views to my videos now getting 99,000 views. Like, bitch, people would die. I would die to have a consistent $100K views a video.
Yeah.
Not even like a month, a video. Like, stop it, guys. So I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, and then because it does turn into a business at that point, and that's sort of where it's hard with Back of the Rack, because when we started this, it was a labor of love. It was like you and me becoming friends. It was us. I don't know any other nigga that'd be like, hey, yeah, I'm down. Let's play Chorokyu and fucking talk about it for 3 hours. Like, that's where you and me clicked, and that was sort of like how our friendship blossomed, because we would just hang out, play our games, and then just talk about it, and that was a podcast.
Yeah.
Like, that was it. And then we realized that there's a lot of effort that goes into it, to doing the script, to doing the thing, you know, to talk about it, to structuring the whole thing. And at some point I was like, okay, we're putting several hours into this a week. How can we get more getting 12 views on it, you know, when you work so it's just like, we've been doing this for so long, getting 30 views on it is really like, the incentive is starting to like go down, you know, because it's just like, fuck, we put so much style, so much energy, you know.
You see that fucking trailer for season 4, bro? Like, that shit still gets me hype every time seeing the trailer for season 4 and 5. Like, I'm like, yo, look at these games. Like, if any other big YouTuber was like, here's the next 7 videos in this stylish ass trailer, bro, people would be like, I can't wait for Scott the Wise to talk about whatever the fuck, you know?
And so yeah, there's a bit of like 2 sort of missions that we had, but are somewhat at odds with one another. One, we want to do this for the love of it. You know, we want to be able to just like, hey, let's just make a video about this. Hey, let's just play this game and, you know, do a podcast about it. But at the same time, the algorithm needs us to be consistent. It needs us to be putting content out regularly so that it'll get pushed to the right people. And we need to just be creating more content, and it's
we're too intense so hard and not us, consistent, you know? Bro. That's the fucking issue. We're too intense and not consistent.
Yeah. Yep. And it's just like one of those things too, where it's like it's one of those things where it's like when you tell your family, like, I lost my job, you know, but I'm still doing this podcast. And then they ask like, oh, like, are you making any money off the podcast? And you're just like, nah, I just do it for fun. And it's like, don't you think it's probably time to let go of the podcast and start focusing on an actual career? And it's just like, oof.
Yeah.
You know, when you sort of kind of get that, you're like, you're 34 talking about these games no one cares about. You've been doing it for 5 years now, and there's been no growth. You know, and it's like, I love doing it, but it's like, yeah, there's a lot of time that gets sunk into it, and it's just not paying off in a way that, like, if you and me just hung out, let's say in person, let's say like we lived close by, we hung out in person maybe like twice a week. You know, maybe that's, I don't know, 4 hours.
Yeah,
you know?
and we just played a game together. Or I just watched you play something, or we just swapped controllers back and forth playing some shit.
Yeah, and let's say like we didn't even do Back of the Rack, and it was just our friendship. You know, it was without the guise of like Back of the Rack. You know, it was just like you and me hanging out doing that. Nobody would bat an eye. You know, let's say I lost my job. Nobody would be like, well, you were still playing games with your friend. Like, shouldn't you be focusing? And it's like, no, like that's just your friend. Yeah. It's fine. He comes over every once in a while.
Yeah, drink some beers.
But because like, yeah, but because like Back of the Rack is like a channel, it's a thing. There's like expectations. It's a podcast. There's production behind it. So much effort goes into it. People are like, well, what are you gaining back? Like, what are you receiving? And I'm like, after 5 years, we've not seen a lot of growth. That's for sure. You know, and we've made some good friends along the way with like, you know, Cade and Cosmo and all the rest, and there's that aspect of it. But it's just like at this age, it's like you sort of, everything you do almost has to be like almost more intentional. You know what I mean? Like there has to be like a good,
right,
like, especially when you're putting in so much effort. You know, it'd be different if it's just like, yeah, I just go bike riding every once in a while, you know, just as a small hobby. But like, because we were doing it so intentionally, it's like, oh, okay, sorry guys, I can't hang out this Saturday with family because me and Sondi got to record the podcast.
Yeah, that's like, definitely been the case where it's like, yeah, you guys go do your thing downstairs, but please be quiet because I have something to do. Podcast. Yeah,
like we were taking it seriously. Like we were trying to, you know, doing it once a month, playing the game, writing notes. We were doing this whole thing, so it needs to have a good justification, and typically that means a monetary justification, you know. And it's just, I think that's one of the reasons we step back, because it's just like, man, there's a lot going on in our lives right now.
Yeah,
like,
let me get my shit together first, and then we'll come back to this.
Yeah, and season 5, while probably one of the coolest stylistically, also saw the least amount of growth. And so we're just like, what do we do?
Yeah, I would definitely say this is funny because this is just a very retrospective episode. It's funny we have all speaking of, like, I wish I could show people. I'm gonna splice it in there or like something like that of like the notes, because I vividly remember like even like Sean when he came on, where he was like, oh, I didn't know you guys were going in like this. I thought you guys were just off the dome. Yeah. Like he was like, I didn't know you guys had all these notes and shit like that and research. And I was like, yeah, this is a whole process. But
yeah, because we were trying to give these video games their due. Like,
yeah,
we're not just being like, oh, hey, this is like some like underrated gem. It's like we want to talk about it thoroughly because there's people out there that played, again, a Choro Q. Yeah. And there's no one out there talking extensively about it like
Spectral Origins to this day is still one of our most popular episodes. Even on podcast form, we still get at least like 10 to 12 views, plays a month just on the podcast episode alone, because people like love like Spectrobes, and the Spectrobes community was like very welcoming. They were like, hey, we'll let you do like some interviews with like the community and stuff like that. Like, so like every game has a Spectrobes community like that. Like they have a squad.
They thought we were gonna become a Spectrobes channel.
Yeah, but like every game has that group of people that are like die hard about it, and like they love that we put that effort into that, and like that's kind of the main thing I've always loved about like Back of the Rack. And I think it is also like a cultural thing, because you know back in the day people used to just make YouTube channels and talk about like random shit, and there was no issue about it. But now people make YouTube channels, especially in this hyper unemployed market, with the intent of making it into something monetarily. Like I've seen a lot of channels am I unemployed couple times of like people just talking about like being analog, like cutting off stuff in their life and being like intentional. And it's like, okay, but you're making a YouTube video with all this production value about how you don't be on YouTube and you use like an iPod Nano, like, but you're still putting in all this effort to showcase. It's like performative minimalism, and that kind of goes into just that's just one aspect, but that just kind of goes into like the aspects of like how much YouTube has become like just an apparatus for anybody on any subject. You can literally, I've literally looked up like jigsaw YouTube because I got really into jigsaw puzzles, and people like really have full jigsaw puzzle YouTubes, or like there's now the backlog YouTube of people talking. Like I found that out by doing my backlog video, because my whole fucking algorithm became backlog fucking videos of people being like, this is what I played this month on my backlog, or this is how I'm handling my backlog. Like there's a whole,
that makes sense. Yeah,
same with like the journaling stuff, because my wife got into bullet journaling, and I take it the literal, like how the creator.
Wait, what is
bullet journaling? It's just the normal. It's just normal. Like, so the creator of bullet journaling is just normal, any fucking journal you get, and you do like a dot for like a note, a plus. It's like a whole system, but it's just simple. It's not supposed to be like what people like. If you look at bullet journaling now, you're gonna see people with like highlighted pages and like all these designs and all this shit. That's not the bullet journaling I do. Like my video game journal is bullet journaling, for example. But like, I think I still have my notes for like, here's my notes for, if it zooms in, for fucking Samurai Champloo that I had, all my notes right here. But it's just literally just like, I put a positive for something positive, a minus for something negative, a dot for like just a note, and then I do like an asterisk if it's like a silly tidbit or something like that. And I do the same thing. Yeah, but people make it like
normal. Yeah.
But if you go on bullet journal YouTube, which there is, people have like, I have like, I printed out stickers and I did all. Yeah, you're seeing it. Yeah, it gets intense. It's like
that's kind of that's
it's cool, but
it is cool in some like systematic way, you know, because that's what I like about backlog in some ways. Just like, I mean, you don't need to do it, but I like being able to catalog and categorize everything I'm playing. Like, I like to put the dates that I started it.
How much did I play this day? How much it...
Yeah, like what console. Like, I love doing that. So, yeah, that's kind of cool that people do that. But, yeah, I can see how it can get out of control with some people, for sure. Just like anything, right? People optimize the fun out of it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why, like, I don't know. Like, Back of the Rack, it kind of... I've always talked about the fear of that, of Back of the Rack becoming, like... Because I wouldn't mind Back of the Rack becoming like a podcast and being like, this is sponsored by Raycons, or like, you know, doing
NordVPN.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind doing that while we still do our normal Back of the Rack bullshit on here. That's not really the issue. My main issue has always been like, when people get to the point where it's like, okay, now we hired 2 more dudes to do their side Back of the Rack thing, where they like do Back of the Rack indies, and it's like, now it's become what is those fucking things called? It used to be back in the day where people used to be like on YouTube and they'd be like, I'm part of it's not a company. It is a company. Like Machinima.
What?
Like how Machinima was a bunch of dudes.
Oh, yeah, like a media sort of company.
Yeah, how Back of the Rack becomes a media company over like just 2 dudes.
Yeah, or like game ranks. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, how Game Ranks was just 2 dudes and now it's like a whole thing.
Yeah. So, I guess the only thing I wouldn't want is for it to become like just going through the motions.
Exactly.
You know? Like, or just like, and then I kind of felt that way with Samurai Champloo, a game that I have deep nostalgia for. And I realized, especially with your score, I was like, I think we might just be going through the motions here, because I feel like Sondi in season 1 would have maybe had similar criticisms, but would have never hated this as much if we weren't just like going through the motions.
Damn, you right on that, bro.
Because I was like, there's just no. I'm like, I mean, it's quintessential boater, and it has its issues for sure, but I was just like, I think we might be a bit jaded now. I think now we're just playing some of these games and be like, man, I don't really feel like playing this as ass, or just like, and I'm like, at that point, then we're just doing a disservice to both the game
and ourselves. You're right, man.
and yeah.
Because I joined Backlog when we did Fear Effect, and it says I've beaten 367 games since then. And I just beat 100 games last year. And after a point, there's like, I think that's the issue. To try to segue into your point that we were trying to make. But like, there comes a point where you've done too much, and it's kind of it kind of ruins your appetite a little bit. You've eaten too much, you're too full. That's how I feel sometimes playing games, where I'm like, I've played so many, and it's not even that I've played so many games, it's more so just like the fatigue of playing games is setting in.
Yeah.
And I don't realize it because I still love playing games and the art of video games. You know what I mean?
Yep.
The passion's there.
That's what, yeah, that's
the fatigue is there.
That's where I think, well, especially, I can't say that I have the same fatigue in terms of like so many games I've played, but I see it come out in different ways where like I'm just game hopping. Like I can't stick to one game. I'm just like playing this for an hour, bored. Playing this for 3 hours, bored. Playing this other thing, 30 minutes, bored. You know what I mean? Just can't choose a game. And I'm just like, why am I even bothering at this point? Why don't I just do something else?
Yeah,
you know?
See, and I have the
like
opposite on that spectrum, to where I stick to one game to try to beat that game.
Finish
then
it.
I finish it, and
Yeah.
I go, why did I waste my time finishing that?
Yeah, and you're just like, fucking hated that game.
Yeah.
So it's, yeah, we don't want it to become that. And I've actually been thinking, I'm like, what if I just don't play any games but back of the rack games for like a year? Just take a break from any, and that, like, not just modern games, but like, you know, maybe I'll play games from the PS3 generation or PS4 generation just for fun that aren't back of the rack. But even cut that stuff out and then just play games that are on our list, and just when I'm free, just do something else. You know, like I've really thought about that, you know, because I'm just like, I'm playing games.
That's
I'm
real
just,
shit.
now I'm just playing games just to play them, and I'm not even like fully engaged with them and like enjoying them fully. And I'm like, that's just a disservice to the game and me. And then, you know, so, and I'm not saying I'm going to do that, but I need to figure out something, you know. I just maybe need to focus more on other things. But yeah, it's definitely been getting tiring. And when you do content for games too, and you don't see the return, just like we've been talking about, like,
It's like, damn, I just
also
spent
makes
40
it
hours playing this game and nothing. We got 40 views?
yeah, it's just like, man, it's kind of tough, you know. And we have some pretty loyal fans that want to see more out of us. But, and then we're also just so niche too. That's the issue.
We
And
are
I'm
a
like,
niche in a
I
niche.
don't want to be like mainstream. I like that we're so niche, but it's just like that also handicaps us, because like, who the fuck cares about fucking, you know, Genji on PS3? Like,
Yeah, gaming podcasts
You
are
know what I
already
mean?
niche, and then making a gaming
Yes.
podcast about niche games is like,
Mm-hmm.
and it's only specifically niche games. Like, we're not talking about like the latest release every week, and we're not even a weekly podcast. Like, most of these are like weekly,
Yeah.
bi-weekly. We're like a whenever the fuck we feel like it. So
yeah. So it's, yeah, and we've thought about spreading it out, like releasing the story section first, releasing presentation, and then gameplay. But I'm like, that doesn't even make sense. Who's gonna digest it that way? So I don't know. There's still a lot to think about there, about how we feel about the amount of work that we put into this. You know, because you see like someone like Neb and Calm, and they get good amount of revenue views as well from like TikTok, doing the content that they like to do. Like, you know, the way that, you know, community is watching anime is crazy, structured and like disciplined, and releasing a video. And obviously his stuff isn't like highly produced. It's just like get in front of the camera. I watched fucking, you know, My Life as a Slime in the dungeon or
They
whatever.
got born as a goblin and
yeah, and then he gets, you know, 50K, 100K views on that.
Yeah.
And then but that's one piece of content, and then it's just like
maybe we
so
are
he
just
can, like,
hunks though, and maybe like that's just the
Oh, yeah,
market
we're
that we're
definitely
because we've been so anti TikTok where we're like, nah, I fucking hate making shorts, and it's like, well, what if we just did that? What if I just was like, hey, I just fucking beat da 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 da, and this is what I think about it, and dropped a fucking video.
Do you have a fucking hand?
Oh yeah. This is my fidget spinner right here, bro.
I also have like this squishy like egg thing too. That's funny.
Oh man.
But yeah, it's definitely something that we need to talk about. Status check, I think, is the one thing that can stay consistent because we've talked about how we're going to probably narrow down the topics, but really try and talk about 1 or 2 points each and make those into separate videos for people to watch, and to really like make a thumbnail that's like about that, so it feels more like, oh, this is what the niggas are saying and here's like gameplay or whatever around it. Status check as a podcast is gonna stay the same, but yeah, and I think status check is like sort of the most like, that's where you and me like are kind of like the most real. Like it's just like
this
what's
is
been
where
going
Back in
on?
Iraq started, bro. Y'all wasn't there when we used to do an hour and a half of this, and then we would talk about the game.
yeah, niggas weren't. Yeah,
they wasn't with us in the gym with that.
And then we were like, we have to
cut.
We're taking way too long to get into the fucking game. People are there for Bladestorm, and it takes an hour and a half for us to mention it.
We're over here talking about fucking kittens and getting married and shit, and they're like, bro, I clicked on this because you were playing fucking Choro Q. Yeah. What the fuck is
just shaking us and being like, where is Bladestorm? Why are you guys I don't know these niggas. I don't care about their lives. I want to know about Bladestorm.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But yeah, let's get into some of our topics here. So recently, when I was sick, right? I had a lot of time. I go in hardcore on YouTube when I'm sick. You know, I feel like I used to go in hardcore like pretty much every day, but I don't really do that anymore. And now it's only when I'm like fucking bedridden. So I was watching a lot of gaming content, a lot of videos about, you know, the types of videos where like, I've played every this in this franchise, or like, why isn't this series more popular, or the history of this series, you know, just everything that I could. Yeah. I watched a whole iceberg on Mortal Kombat.
I watched that exact
fucking
iceberg, bro.
And there's this funny, I forgot to send him to you, but there's this really funny guy who did like a whole like he like retold the story basically, or just like reviewed it as it was playing. So he would like kind of commentate, you know, as it was going, and just he was so funny. I thought I haven't laughed at a video like that, and he was just so funny. It's just like this nigga. He's just like, fuck. He just reminded me of you a lot of ways too. Like some of the shit that he said.
Don't scare me, bro.
But he had me dying. He brought it for, I think it was it Mortal Kombat 1? I think it was MK1 that he was doing like the whole commentary for. But it's sort of in the style of like Video Game Donkey, but just like literally front to end the story. Like if Video Game Donkey was like, oh, here's a story and let me just go through it beat by beat with you, and it's like making fun of shit, and like, but like, I don't know, he's like a hardcore fan of MK1, which I didn't know that there are some people that fucking fuck with Mortal Kombat like that. I don't know why it's a series that just like
Mortal
exists
Kombat.
To me.
The hierarchy goes Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, Tekken, like. And low-key, I would put Mortal Kombat over Street Fighter in certain cases. In terms of like mainstream, I would definitely be Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, Tekken. Like Mortal Kombat is big just for the story alone. Like that's the odd only fighting game where like niggas will be like, I'm buying Mortal Kombat just so I can play the story mode.
And they invest the most in story mode until the recent obviously Street Fighter 6, the last story mode was really good. But yeah, so I was watching a lot of those videos. I ran into some videos regarding GTA Online, which I had generally no interest in, like GTA 5's online. I played the game when it first released on PS3, and I played a little bit of like the remaster on PS4. And I know that a lot of niggas like just loved the online. Cause I remember, it's funny, I remember when San Andreas came out, and there was like a deep fervor of like hood niggas, like the type of niggas that play like, you know, 50 Cent Bulletproof or like Madden or like Def Jam Vendetta, like
love
them.
GTA Online, bro. They all got their own
They-
modded server, bro. They be in there.
It's so funny because like I remember being young and like them being like, oh, wouldn't it be so cool if like we all could play like together, like a split screen, like, you know, like exploring like San Andreas, like,
bro, that should be so crazy.
yeah. And I remember thinking to myself like, yeah, I guess, but because I was just like into different types of game, like fantasy, JRPGs, you know, sci-fi, I was like, I guess that sounds fun, maybe. But here we are, right, with GTA Online making $1 billion, and I'm realizing how much it's changed for the people that were there day one. And it was just like a video about talking about griefers and how free mode has changed, and like how Rockstar intentionally creates problems for the player to have to pay to solve the problem. So they release like this, like an example is that they released this flying motorbike with a rocket launcher, and it has all these specific, it has all these specific like mechanics that sort of break the game. Like it's fast enough that you don't need to that you can just fly over all the buildings. It's faster than any of like the jets. It has more maneuverability. It has rockets that hone in, so it makes a lot of missions easier. So everybody in the meta was buying it because it was essentially a cheat code to like run through your missions super fast, and also to grief other players who didn't have it because they couldn't escape those homing missiles.
You just come flying through, bombing them real quick,
they'd be able to just escape just as quickly. So people like that would get out of the vehicle and like try and shoot them, like had no chance. So that like really changed the whole like dynamic of like people jumping in, and it like was like a status symbol. And then Rockstar included, and hopefully nobody that is really into GTA Online
like,
listens to this and they're like, wrong. Yeah, no. They introduced a vehicle that was basically meant to target that specific motor, that aerial motorbike that with the
they made the anti-bike vehicle.
Exactly. So people that had already bought into the bike and loved it, but then the people that hated the people who had the bike got to buy, you couldn't earn it apparently, you had to buy a vehicle to counteract it in free mode. And so there was like different levels to it. They made several vehicles that kind of like
then they made the anti-bike video. I mean, anti-bike video vehicle.
Exactly. So basically the guy was complaining about this, like how they manufactured a problem and then are making players pay to solve the problem in game. And the whole time I'm thinking, why don't you just not play the game and play something else? Like the guy that was explaining the whole thing had been playing since day one. He had over 5,000 hours in it, and he had pretty much every vehicle, every house. Like he was king in that game.
Right.
And he was basically complaining about this like specific monetary tactic and how it's recently gone to shit for GTA players, and like how it's just not the same like it used to be. And I'm just like, in some way,
you're part of
you're
the
talking
problem.
about how yeah, exactly. Basically, yeah, simply put, you've also paid into the problem here, and you continue to do so. You've put in way more money than most casual players, from what I've been able to tell. And it wasn't just this guy doing this video. I watched another one where another guy was also like entrenched, like literally so bought in on the game that it's just like they get angry that things are changing. But I'm like, this game has been around for 10, going on 10 plus years now.
13 years.
Like,
this shit came out when I was in 11th
yeah,
grade.
I'm
30.
you're right. I'm just like, what? Rockstar wasn't even expecting this to stay around that long, but because you niggas are paying like the subscriptions and all this, it's like you expect them to be like on your side and to like make things like,
yeah,
you like they had to pump up the numbers every year over year. So they're going to have tactics that like people that have been there since day one are not gonna agree with, you know.
Yeah, that's why ball and gun gamers is a slur, bro.
And then all that to say, actually, I don't know what that is, but
I'll go
have
into
to tell
it
me about that in a
after your
second.
point. Yeah.
All that to say that like these niggas are like, oh, gaming is trash now. Like, you know, games are shit. There's no games out there. But I'm like, you just played 5,000 hours of just GTA Online. Like, nigga, go play something else.
Yeah. Because
like it doesn't have to be an online game. Like what like this is insane.
And this is where the term ball and gun gamers comes from, is because
what is this?
Because the main parent company of Rockstar, 2K, also makes
2K, yeah.
NBA 2K. And once they get off GTA, because they're like, man, I'm tired of these niggas doing all this shit on GTA, I'm gonna go play 2K. Yeah. Where it's the same toxic practices. This is coming from a person that plays 2K regularly. For the past 13 years of 2K, ever since they added VC to 2K. The whole point is,
what's VC?
So VC is virtual currency, and you spend VC,
okay.
You earn VC. Like, so the whole point of the game after like 2K13 is because they made this mode where you make your own character, and they started like a 40 overall or something like that. You use the VC, you spend that, you can upgrade attribute points, buy some little fake Jordans and some tattoo sleeves and shit like that, right?
Yeah.
And then they added the park, so you can take your mind, because that was just a strictly single player thing of like, you know, you go through your rookie year and you just play the NBA as it normally would as your own player. But they added the park, so now you can play against other players. And then of course they added the ability to buy VC, and you can just start the game fresh out, pay. So the meta of 2K now at this point is so busted that you buy $100. You buy the game for $100 because that comes with NBA League Pass. Then you spend another $60 for the $60 VC pack, so you can boost your character instantly to the level cap at the time is level 80, because you got to still play the game to like get up to level 99. So you spend $60 to get yourself straight to 80 so that you can play with other players, because if you don't, you're going to be like at 40 overall and people aren't going to like you. Not to mention that you have to pay the same VC to buy shoes, to buy clothes. You can bet on VC on certain courts, so you'll lose money and you can gamble like that. And this is not even including the My Team, which is the RNG trading card version, where people can get like 99 overall, 100 boosted characters. So you can get like LeBron James and he has like 99 all stats, but you have to keep rolling loot boxes in order to open up those packs to get your LeBron James with a bunch of bullshit. So like, it's so, and like WWE, don't even get me started on WWE. They just added this new thing to where you have to prestige. So once again, WWE just added an island where it's the same thing. You make your own wrestler, you pay VC so you can upgrade their stats and buy all the stuff and fight other people on the island and stuff like that. But they added this new toxic system where you can only reach like 80 overall. Then you have to prestige and start over at 40. And you can pay money again to get to 85 and prestige, and pay money again to get to 90 and prestige, and then 95, then 99. So they're forcing you to pay 6 times $60 to get your overall up. And the issue with 2K is now people complain every year that 2K sucks, 2K is getting worse, the game runs like shit, the online's still shit, it's the same reused shit. The game doesn't get any better. They take out features just to get the features back in. The next year, they say that they fixed the problem. They create problems, don't fix the game for a whole year, then sell you the problems for another $60 next year. And then you have to start the process again because VC and characters don't carry over. So you got to do the same thing. And it's gotten to the point where now the meta of 2K is buying a set $100 Chronos Zen online plugging in the cheat device and having the cheat device automatically defend and automatically shoot the greens so you can never miss a shot and always block a shot. That is the meta of 2K now. Is if you're not cheating and not spending all this money to boost your character to the max level, then you are the problem and you suck. And instead of going, I'm not going to play this game anymore because this sucks. Instead, people either foolishly spend money on another build, so making a whole nother character and doing the process over again in hopes that maybe this character will be better than the last character, even though I'm playing against cheaters. Or they'll become a cheater themselves too and buy the cheating device. And it's like, you could just not play the game and then 2K will lose money and be like, oh, I can fix the fucking game because I'm scared. Like, that's what happened with NBA Live. That's why NBA Live isn't a thing. People, like, at the time, NBA Live was still better than 2K for a time, and they released a demo for NBA Live, and it was so buggy and early in development because I think that was when they were like forcing everybody to switch to Frostbite. And they switched to Frostbite engine for it, and of course it was buggy because, you know, basketball game and Frostbite engine, and they just lost all hope, and 2K won it over at that point, and they haven't had a competitor since. So there's nobody to be like, we also have a competent basketball game, so I'm gonna go play NBA Live instead. No, now it's, I only have 2K, just like people only have GTA to play, allegedly. According to some people.
It's like part of it, like I wrote, a part of it is the sunk cost fallacy, where people are so entrenched and so financially and chronically invested in these games that they're not willing to see outside of the situation or leave the situation and be like, man, I already got too much time in Fortnite and I already have too many skins, so I'm just gonna live in Fortnite. And it's just like,
you don't have to, bro.
You can't. You don't have to, but I don't want to hear you complain. Like, I think that was what annoyed me about the YouTube videos. It's just like, you're complaining, but like you're part of the reason why the industry has gone this route, because you've paid for all this shit. You keep coming back. You keep accepting the bullshit, and you don't play other games. There's a reason that it's like this. It's like because of you niggas. It's like a single player, like a single player. What do you call it? A single player fantasy game maybe comes out. You know, original idea. No one buys it, and then people get upset. Like, where are the games at? There's no original games. It's like, first off,
you didn't
in
buy
this day and age, not everything. Yeah, nobody bought it, but like, first off, not every company can make a AAA fucking Spider-Man game. Okay, so let's get that off the table. Let's stop pretending that everybody
has $300
can
million
make AAA games and all the time in the world to make like this highly crafted. You know, let's stop pretending that that's the case. You have to support these other indie devs that are doing. I mean, they're not always independent devs, but you know, some of these games, like AA games, that are doing like different things. Like, people. And that video, I sent you a video, which we'll probably attach here, or not attach, we'll add to the podcast. But it was someone talking about how people that only play, what'd you call it, ball and gun games?
Yeah, ball and gun gamers. They say that because the biggest, the biggest thing about ball and gun gamers isn't the fact that they play ball and gun games, but it's the fact that they don't go out of their wheelhouse, and then they complain and say that gaming is dying, gaming is dead, games suck. And it's like, because you're stuck. It's really a derogatory term for anybody that has sunk cost fallacy in a game, where it's like, you keep complaining about this game, but you won't stop playing this game and play something else, and you're mad that they won't change the game to be another game, when there's games that do what you're asking for way better than the game that you're asking to change into this. And it's like, just play that game.
So just the YouTube videos, man, about this idea, where people put so much time into something and it's just like complaining about the monetary stuff, and I'm just like, well, then don't engage with it. You've spent so much time with it, just move on. There's so many other games floundering out there that don't get the attention that they need, because so many of you are playing the same games. You know, you're playing the same 5 games: Roblox, Fortnite, 2K, COD,
Madden.
Arc Raiders?
Nah, not Arc Raiders.
Arc Raiders.
Arc Raiders is new.
Okay.
But I do agree with this, especially coming from. I'm a multiplayer nigga. We've been over this. I just got finished playing Marathon like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
but
you're different though. I would say like you're definitely an outlier because of all the games that you've added to like your list of games that you're willing to play. You know, you've played a lot of back of the rack games. You've played a lot of single player games. I think you're probably more well-rounded than me, even though I had my share of multiplayer games like in the PS3 era that I would play. But yeah, I wouldn't say that I just make fun of you because you play them, but I think that you're like really well-rounded. Yeah, I would say, because you got MMOs, you got the multiplayer games, and then you got the single player shits that, you know.
Yeah. So, but I mean, this goes to like every game. This is kind of why I always vent in like a Sondi Select about MMOs randomly, is because like until like 2019, I want to say, like, or 2018, until like I like moved out, I kind of was like just a multiplayer nigga. Like I only played MMOs. I only played whatever.
Basically, when you met me, things changed.
No, because literally right before like we did Back of the Rack, that's when I first started collecting. I like moved out. I found a GameCube for cheap, and I was like, I like GameCube. I like Sonic Adventure 2 and Wind Waker. Let me cop some stuff. And like when we first started, that was when I was like first starting collecting and like actually getting into like the hobby. But before that, for the longest time, if it didn't have multiplayer or was an MMO, I didn't play that shit. And I can see the effects of that in that's why I'm so jaded with every like multiplayer game. Like Marvel Rivals, people are complaining, being like this season is the last straw. You gotta fix and patch all this stuff or else the game's gonna die. And it's like, bro, the game's only been out for a year. Like,
yeah,
they've added 20 new characters in that time. The fact that they've done all this content, and every month there's new character, new content, new maps, new events. There's just so much content in that game. I took a break for 7 months after, I want to say right before Blade came out. I think Ultron. Once Ultron came out, I said, I don't want to play this no more. This shit is toxic. I'm good. I'll come back to this. And I came back when Gambit and Rogue came out because I wanted to play Gambit and Rogue. And I had a blast for 3 to 4 months. And I said, I'm good with this game.
All right.
I'll get off it. I don't need to play this
and
anymore.
Played other stuff in between.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. And played other stuff in between.
It's not like that was your only game.
But with MMOs, especially, unfortunately, this is why I'm so glad that you chose this, because the landscape that we live in with live service games is because we unchecked MMOs for so long. Because all of these toxic practices of battle passes, paying to skip the content of a game and paying to skip levels, paying for early access, paying for games that aren't complete, everything that we experience now in games, and just even the fact of people being like, this game needs to last forever. World of Warcraft should be on World of Warcraft 2 by now. We should be on World of Warcraft 3 or 2. Like, we shouldn't be still playing World of Warcraft and them completely changing everything about the game and adding housing and all this stuff. World of Warcraft is not supposed to live for 20 years.
Yeah.
EverQuest is still, like, even though EverQuest is still dropping like new content, quote unquote, it's really just retreading the same content, but them going like they're just releasing like a new mode where it's like, okay, this is going to be the same server we're going to start the game. Like, they constantly do these classic servers where it's like, okay, this is classic, but you can have 2 classes instead of 1 class. Or this is a classic server, but if you die, that's it. You only get 1 life. Or everybody's randomized. You can't select a class or something like that. They do that, but it's the same game, but they just have a different mechanic going over it. So that's why EverQuest has lasted forever. But like every MMO, verbatim, has been this exact same process. You pay like $60 to $100 for early access to get into this MMO everybody's excited about. You metagame everything. You talk about the meta. You take the guides out. You take the whimsy out. So by the time that the game even comes out, if you're not following the YouTube guides and all that stuff, nobody's talking to you. Nobody's having fun with you. Nobody's like interacting with you because you're not following the guide. They're following the guide and watching some shit on the second screen, and they're moving on with their life. And They're rushing to end game, even though the whole point of an MMO is to be in a virtual world, talking with people, conversation, using this as a social media platform. Instead, we're going to rush to the end of the game. And if you don't rush to the end of the game, don't worry, you can just pay $60 to skip that. And we're only going to do the same content over and over again, and then complain that we've skipped on 90% of the game so that we can play 10% of the game for a month straight and be like, why is there only 10% of the game? Like, why is there no end game? Why is there no point to the game? I need you to drop more of this instead of enjoying the entire breadth of the game and all of its systems and combat. And that bleeds over to them going, okay, well, I'm either going to leave this game or I'm going to continue to whale because I like this game, and they're going to keep dropping new content, new in-game stuff for you to keep spending money on. And now MMOs are a dead genre, and they did the same thing with live service games, where live service games now it's, why aren't you dropping content every month? Oh, if you don't drop content, this patch sucks. There's a funny tweet I saw where they was like, white niggas love patch notes. And it's true, because I'm telling you, as a kid, I didn't give a fuck about patch notes. I was just like, oh, an update? Yeah. Okay, whatever. Anyway, I'm gonna just keep playing the game. Unless they highlight, like, this is what's new in the game, this new dungeon. I didn't give a fuck about what the patch notes said. Oh, plus 5% to your area of effect. I don't give a fuck. I'm playing the game. And I think that metagaming and that super superfluous caring about all of these patch notes and all this extra shit, Steam DB numbers, is just very toxic to the whole point of, I need to play this game. Because you see, in the opposite spectrum, you see people using these Steam DB numbers to like for example, Marathon, people being like, with Arc Raiders being like, to defend Arc Raiders, you're bashing the numbers of Marathon, being like, see, it doesn't have the numbers of Arc Raiders, so you shouldn't play this game. Oh, Marvel Rivals doesn't have the same numbers as Overwatch, so you should play this game. Instead of, oh, that game, like, usually you use Steam numbers to go, oh, okay, a lot of people play this game. That's good to know. That means the queue's not going to be long. Yeah. People just they don't know when to stop playing a game, and I'm niggas.
Something that I found interesting, and you make a lot of good points from the perspective of somebody who's like typically who's played a lot of MMOs and has been a part of the change of the gaming industry. But one of the things that I found interesting was, especially with MMOs, because I watched a Blizzard sort of documentary, and it was sort of talking about how World of Warcraft blew up, and how, because of when it came out, in the early, when did it come out?
Like the early 2003, 4, one of those two.
Yeah, because of how many people started to play games, and PC games and all that, they weren't able to keep up basically with the demand. Like, they were releasing expansions, and I'm sorry, it's not that they weren't able to keep up with the demand. They were doing so well that they couldn't keep the growth going forever, is what I'm trying to say. So with the patches the expansions that they released, they were so well received by players and everybody loved it, and the numbers spiked so much because of those expansions. But at that point, I think 10 years had already gone by. That's a long time for a game. And between 2003 to 2013, gaming was changing. The expectations were changing on what people wanted. And also a new generation was coming in, to play games, to play PC games, to play MMO games. So Blizzard started to shift, a lot of their tactics and mechanics that they were adding into the game towards a younger demographic. They started adding specific things. I mentioned that because it's interesting for a game to be running for 10 years and to think about the different types of people that are going to be coming in and out, and how you cater your game towards that. And the people who have been there since year one, 10 years later, it's like, well, yeah, like, what do you expect? Like, this company has a game for 10 years. They're typically looking to grow their numbers. Right. And that means that in year 10, they're probably looking at fucking someone who just turned 10, probably, or who just turned like a specific age, a younger demographic, who has a different set of expectations. So yeah, your game is gonna change over the course of 10 years. Like, that's a long fucking time for a game to be running, you know? And the more you buy into it, the more angry these people get, because it's just like, well, why is it changing? You know? And it is fascinating because Blizzard then came out with WoW Classic, right?
Yeah.
Which is a very fascinating, like, just sort of look at, like, well, the old heads need their own games. So, like,
and it's crazy that
WoW has gotten
eras. So now it's like you got WoW Classic, then you got the Burning Crusade Classic, then Catalysm Classic, then Mr. Pandaria Classic, which I don't think is a fucking classic, but like every single expansion now has and that's the same thing that EverQuest does, where it's like they'll do a classic server and it'll progress through the expansion, so you can still relive that like growth of like content, and it has its own like content cycle. But then it will end at like certain arcs. It'll be like, okay, because I think EverQuest has like 20 expansions. I think they drop one every year still to this day. And like they'll be like, okay, the first 10 expansions for this server, and then after that it'll stop, and then that'll be the end of this server. And they just constantly re-release servers being like, this is just the first 5 or the first 6 or the first 12 or the first, like they just constantly do that. And Blizzard is going to be doing the same thing forever.
Yeah,
they're going to be like,
yes,
like they did with Classic Hardcore and Season of Discovery. They're just going to drop classic but this, classic but this, classic but this. And RuneScape now is doing the same thing too. They're just actually, speaking of that, next week they're dropping a league where it's going to be the same thing, where it's like, this is a league that only lasts 3 months. You got to make a new character. It's going to have these features, and then after that it's done. And then you go on to the next league after that. It's going to be another league with a new weird mechanic. In Path of Exile, I'm sorry. This is my autistic hyperfixation. I'm sorry. But to talk about more about what you were saying with like World of Warcraft, it is very interesting because the same thing happened with Fortnite, kind of sort of, where a new game would come out with a new feature, and World of Warcraft and Fortnite would steal that feature, put it in the next expansion, so it's World of Warcraft for Fortnite 5. And then people would just stop caring about that new game, because my game that I spent thousands of hours on has that new feature now. I don't need to play the new game that has that feature. Like Fortnite took respawning from Apex Legends. It took the movement from other like games. Like Fortnite takes a lot of mechanics from other games, to the point now to where it even took like literal games. Like there's a Fall Guys mode in Fortnite. There's a Rocket League mode in Fortnite. They took Rock Band and put it in Fortnite. Or World of Warcraft, like Guild Wars 2 dropped their mount expansion, and they had it mounts, and they can do all these new cool mechanics. And then World of Warcraft was like, yeah, we revamped the mount system to where mounts have abilities now. Like,
crazy.
Yeah. What are the chances of that? I don't know. But I think
it's these lifestyle games, and
yeah.
I mean, ultimately what it comes down to is that we're in a new era, and I think a lot of people are having difficulty adjusting to like they're having difficulty adjusting and taking accountability for their part in where we're at. Companies are greedy, and they are trying to make money at the end of the day, and they have aggressive growth goals year over year. You know, they're gonna have KPIs that they have to meet. Our player count, our membership count, or whatever, subscription count has to be higher the next year. It has to be like, no company's just like, yeah, we want to keep our normal subscription amount, player base. Like every company is trying to grow their numbers. So the fact that so many people are stuck in these games and hoping that things are gonna stay the same, and then complaining about it, and then complaining that there aren't any other games, and then not showing up for games that like truly matter, you know. Although Expedition 33, I think a lot of people showed up for, but maybe more people could have showed up for that. Crimson Desert, you know, just original IP, things that are new, you know, supporting there, and not being so upset about the game that you've lost your life to, you know. Like these lifestyle games, I think are dangerous, and I think a lot of people know that our age now, because we've seen sort of the practices. But I don't know, man. Those YouTube videos had me feeling some type of way where I was just like,
You know what it is, bro?
Come on.
You know what broke my spell? I would used to watch those Gaming is Dead videos, and then I would see Call of Duty footage over top of it, and I'd be like, yeah, you fucking lost me. Because even as a kid, I said, wait, you want me to play Modern Warfare 2, and then you guys just drop Black Ops, then you drop Black Ops 2, then you just drop you're dropping a Call of Duty every year. Halo 3 dropped one time, and then Halo Reach dropped 2 years later, and that's it. We were good on Halo for the entire 360 generation until Halo 4 at the end of the generation. But like, niggas play Halo 3 to Halo Reach, and that was it. Whereas you like you got to think about it. Like, you play Call of Duty since Modern Warfare 2 until now, and they dropped a new Call of Duty every year for 15 years straight. And now you're saying that gaming is dead because all you've played is Call of Duty, and you're like, oh yeah, because Call of Duty sucks, gaming is dead. Because World of Warcraft sucks, gaming is dead. And it's like, no, all of those games that dropped in between that are also shooting games, BioShock, fucking Far Cry. I can look at my shelf and pull up some random bullshit like I always do of a fucking game that you could have played in that time that probably has a shutdown studio because your ass was too busy playing Call of Duty again instead of paying $60 for something interesting. Same thing that went with MMOs. Like, MMOs would come out and people would be like, yeah, but this doesn't have all the content of World of Warcraft. And it's like, well, yeah, World of Warcraft's been out for 10 years. This MMO just came out. You got to give it time to get to that point. But they don't give it the time, and they go, I'm just going to go back to World of Warcraft because there was no content here. Okay, so what am I supposed to do, bro? How am I supposed to grow as lose? And I think that's the issue with, and not only live service games, but just like gaming in general, is that it's become so tribalistic. And there was a time, and people always like to say that in those Gaming is Dead videos, where they'd be like, back in my day, I used to play Jack and Daxter and NBA Street and ATV Off-Road Fury and fucking, and it's like, yeah, because you went out of your wheelhouse to play those games. Wreckfest still is a game that came out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Fucking, there's a platformer every 5 minutes that comes out. Like, there's these genres didn't just disappear. They're still getting games. You guys just aren't paying attention to them because as an adult, and I get it, you've kind of fallen back into your niche of like, I mean, not niche, but you've fallen into, and I was just, we'll talk about this later. I was coming to that same realization of like, I don't need to ever play another open world game unless it does something truly unique or inspiring for me. Like, the next open world game I'll probably play is probably Elder Scrolls 6. And that's because I like the lore of Elder Scrolls. Not because I want to play Elder Scrolls 6 mainly. Whereas I don't need to play those games because I've played them. I don't need to. Every time I play an open world game, I get the same feeling at the end of it of like, I don't like this shit. There's only select few, like Dragon's Dogma 2, or maybe, you know, like an open world has to do something truly marvelous in order for me to be like, I fuck with this, like Spider-Man or some shit, you know? And I think a lot of gamers have came to that same conclusion too, whether they did go out of their wheelhouse, but maybe they played Kingdom Hearts as a kid, but they never went further into JRPGs. Or they tried and they played a stupid game like Star Ocean Dead Divine Force or something and was like, I don't fuck with that. I'm not going to play any more of those. I know that Call of Duty, it's like chicken tenders. I know these chicken tenders taste good. I know these chicken tenders with some 2K barbecue sauce on the side and my GTA Sprite tastes delicious. I'm not going to go out of this wheel. This is my meal GTA and I'm only getting Sprite, this. Give me a number 7.
Yep. But I'm going to complain like, God, these fucking nuggets are dry. Like, or they just don't make these nuggets like they used to. It's like, nigga, just get something else. Try develop some. I think it's also, I feel like what's happening too is like this underdevelopment of taste in games. You know, like a lot of these people that complain about a lot of these games that are coming out too, it's like, well, you have no taste anyways. You know, maybe you don't like the way the game looks or plays, but you only play these 5 main games, you know, GTA Online, Call of Duty, whatever. So who are you to be criticizing this new game that came out that isn't to your tastes? You know, it's like you have a very limited taste. You're not playing,
right?
You know, like whatever, you know, game to kind of expand your palette to even know that there's games that you might like if you just gave a chance. But I don't know, it just really frustrated me, and I was thinking about it a lot because I feel like there's a lot of YouTube videos about people complaining about gaming is dead, and I'm like, no, it's just the people that are saying that are people who don't play single player games. Simply put, the people that are saying gaming is dead or that there are no games are the people that will not buy a day one single player game. So I just got tired of hearing it.
You know,
and I think that's why I've gotten tired with gaming YouTube too, because of like comments like that where I'm like, so many of these people haven't played a lot of games. And not that you need to play a lot of games, but I think you need a good amount of games under your belt from each generation to be able to like make good analysis on games, because then you just come off as like the person that just watched. Okay, let me just tell a quick story. I remember this person that I worked with a long time ago. I asked him what his favorite movie was, and at the time, the movie, I think it was like 2010. At the time, the movie that came out was Superman. It was Man of Steel, Zack Snyder's Man of Steel. I asked him what his favorite movie was. He said Man of Steel. And that like just told me everything, because I'm like,
yeah,
there's just no way you've like seen enough movies.
The niggas that be like, my favorite movie's Avengers Endgame. Okay.
Yeah, it's just like, okay, like I love Avengers Endgame as much as everybody else, but like, come on,
that's not even top 20 for me, for real.
Like, you can't even, like, all right.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's the same type of people, you know.
Oh, I thought you were going to say,
you don't have any taste.
I thought you were going to say my coworker said that he watched a playthrough.
Oh no. Well, that's happened before too. I remember like I had a friend that watched when streaming and Twitch really started taking off, and it was like a lot of Let's Plays. I remember I had a friend that would just like watch one of his favorite streamers play the game, and me and this other guy would make fun of him because we'd be like, "Are you gonna buy that game?" He's like, "Oh no,
I just watched him play it.
So
I know the whole story."
Yeah, yeah, like you're just gonna watch him play it. He's like, "Yeah," and so we would not call him a gamer because like me and my other friend would like go out and play and buy the game, and I'm like, "But you haven't played it." He's like, "Yeah, but I watched it and I know the gameplay and the story." It's like, "But you're not playing it. It's a game."
This is why I never left
Twitter.
Because this is a funny conversation that everybody's having right now with Resident Evil, because people are like definitely afraid of playing the original games, and like even then they didn't even play like the remakes. Like people are exposing themselves of like, oh, I'm just
the tourists.
Yeah, I just watched Resident Evil 2. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you, I just watched Mortal Kombat. What's the latest one that came out? 1? I just watched the story of Mortal Kombat 1, but I'm never gonna talk about the gameplay or anything like that. I'll talk about the story, but I haven't played the game. The game probably plays amazingly, but I haven't played it, so I'm not going to comment on it or even talk about it. Even talking about the story of Mortal Kombat 1, I won't even say that because I didn't experience it firsthand. I watched the IGN 4-hour-long video of the story. I'm not going to, you know what I'm saying, put my 2 cents in on that. And I think that's low-key the catalyst of the problem, is that a lot of people, like, my most favorite thing to do is to really enjoy something and then go to the subreddit of it and then see that everybody, like, it's like the Donald Glover meme when he walks in with the pizzas and everything's on fire, and he's like, oh, I thought we was liking it. I was coming here to talk about how much I like this game, but I guess we hate this game. Let me stop. You realize there's problems that you didn't know existed. So that's gaming in a nutshell, unfortunately. And that's why Backlog is a better website, because people don't doomer post on there. They just
and that's like a new generation too, like of people that grew up just watching other people on YouTube play games because a couple of reasons. Maybe they were too young to play the game, they couldn't afford the game, they just couldn't play the game, like they didn't have enough skill. And so it's become more acceptable in the younger generation for that kind of behavior, I think, to a certain degree. But see, social media is interesting because we have this like all these generations clashing, where like as before social media, it sort of seemed like that was never the case, because like your grandparents weren't online with fucking your little niece.
Yeah.
who had watched the same movie. Now it's like all these generations with different expectations and different, like you see this like Gen Z millennial boomer war all the time now. You know, I feel like I see like I fucking saw this person. I saw this fucking person ask this kid. He was maybe like, I don't know, 12. What's the worst video game? And you'll never believe what this little nigga said. Several of these little niggas.
He probably didn't say Drake and the 99 Dragons.
He was like, Red Dead Redemption 2 is the worst video game.
What the fuck?
And I was like, 2 of these kids said this shit. And I'm like, is this AI? This is crazy.
It's gotta
it's
gotta be some shit that they saw some other YouTuber that they be watching that says that they don't like Red Dead Redemption 2. So they was like, I don't like Red Dead Redemption 2. Just like niggas was saying, I don't like Sonic Adventure 2 because everybody was making their little videos saying Sonic Adventure 2 sucks. And it's like, shut up. Sonic Adventure 2 sucks.
Yeah. Same with Final Fantasy 13. It's getting crazy.
I would even go as far as to say Final Fantasy 15 and 16 got the same problem too. Where like people are like, this game sucks, and it's like,
oh yeah,
not necessarily.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoyed 15. I'm not gonna 15. Say it's like my favorite Final Fantasy, but I enjoyed it. And I didn't finish. I keep thinking about 16. I have to go back, but it's just. It's a very difficult landscape now because we have, again, all these different expectations, all these different voices now. We have fucking kids that are 15 competing with men that are 30.
Yeah.
That are,
I'm starting to dismiss niggas now at this point in my life, bro. I will read a comment and be like, oh yeah, you don't know no better. Or I'll be like, oh yeah, you definitely didn't play the game. Well, I'm just going to ignore your comment.
Yeah. Just be like, oh, okay. Yeah. You don't even know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So speaking of not knowing what I'm talking about, I wrote this. I wrote this because I didn't know exactly what I was trying to say, but I'm trying to say exactly is that for
keep talking. I'll be back.
Yeah. For context, I'm gonna layer it down for you. We made a video a couple whiles ago. The last that I checked, I believe we were talking about our top 5 most anticipated games, and when we initially made that video, I did not have Crimson Desert on my list. I unfortunately was not thinking about Crimson Desert at all. I've always looked at Crimson Desert and was like, whatever, it's cool. But I picked up Crimson Desert, and I was playing through Crimson Desert. He's back. I was playing through Crimson Desert, and I came to a point where I was thinking to myself, what the fuck is the point of this game? And that was a big issue to me because it kept painfully like poking at the back of my head of like, what is this game trying to accomplish? What is it trying to do? Who is this game for, and why does it exist? And I was just saying, like, what is this game's mission statement? And it got me thinking more in general about that like topic, because it's like, okay, if I can't figure out this game's mission statement or like what exactly it's trying to do, let me find another game's mission statement. And one I went over to was Dragon's Dogma 2, because a lot of the discourse surrounding this game was always, this is what Dragon's Dogma 2 should have been. And I highly disagree with that, because I completely understand the mission statement of Dragon's Dogma 2 immediately. It's the pawn system. It's the pawn system and the vocation system. You're using your vocations that you can switch to freely to have engaging combat, and you're using your pawns and the pawn system to send them back and forth so that you can engage with the open world. It's all built around your pawns, because your pawns can lead you to treasure or throw you up or do interesting things in combat, and you're sending your pawn to another person to get the information from their pawn, and you can send items back and forth to trade with players to be like, oh, you need this for a quest? Okay, I can give you this, and then you can use this for a quest or something like that. That's the whole point of Dragon's Dogma, is to have that multiplayer without necessarily having to be connected to another player. I'm sending my person over and they're helping you out, and then I get your person and they're helping me out. Everything is built around that. Same thing goes for Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2, just to go back to it. The whole point of that game is to be this elder vampire and live in the fantasy of being this overpowered vampire. You don't have to take shit from people. You're in this world of darkness trademark, and you're living the life of this elder vampire. You're not your character. You are this character living in this world. And that's all it needed to accomplish.
Did people want something else from that, or was there like?
Yeah, that was the biggest thing that came along with that. Because, well, it doesn't help that that game was rebooted, and originally it was, because the first game is you kind of make your own character. Well, you don't make your own character. You choose a clan, and they have like preset looks, but like it's technically your character, and you're a new vampire, and you go through this whole situation in California, and that's the whole first game. And they were expecting the second game to be just like how we talked about with Dragon's Dogma when it came out, where it's like, okay, it's gonna be bigger and better, and I'm gonna be able to fully customize my character, and I'm gonna have an in-depth crime system, and I can do this, and I can do all this stuff. And it's like, that's not even what the first game was. The first game was kind of sort of like a honed in narrative about a situation that you handle, but it just had a lot of openness, and you had an open world that you could interact and go around in between this, to go between the things. But it wasn't necessarily that you could just do whatever you want, you know. You were still in the confines of doing the singular campaign narrative. And the same thing happens with the second game, and people were expecting this to be something grander than it is. But to wrap this all back around to Crimson Desert, I still don't really understand what Crimson Desert was trying to do, and its lack thereof of a mission statement makes me kind of frustrated with the game, because I can, like we were just talking about, I'm an MMO veteran. I've played Black Desert Online for thousands. I don't want to say thousands. I've at least put 1,200 hours into Dragon's Dogma. At least. I mean, not Dragon's Dogma. Black Desert Online. I have a couple characters like that are level 60. So like, if you know, you know. That's deep in the weeds. But I've started to realize that a lot of the features that were touted for Crimson Desert were just carried over or reused from Black Desert Online. Like, there's a horse taming and breeding system that's carried over. The worker system with your camp is carried right over. A lot of the combat is one-to-one moves of classes from Black Desert Online, all like fusion dance into one character. Like, cause like the longsword is the Awakening of the Night, where the sword and shield is just a knight regular moveset. The spear is the Meiwa. The archery skills is all of the archer skill set. Dual swords is all of the giant movesets. So like, I'm seeing all of these reused features, assets, literal names that are reused in certain places. Systems like the knowledge system being reused, and it's like, okay, so if this is just Black Desert but offline, what exactly is making this game different from playing Black Desert, other than the fact that it's single player? Because Black Desert, all of these systems were there because I could tame horses and breed them so that I could sell them to players so that they can use them. I was making a trade empire so that I can produce goods so that I can sell them to players. I can mass produce potions to sell to players. I was doing the combat, and it was flashy because I would be spending dozens of hours in the same spot grinding the same mobs until I leveled up, because that's how you leveled up in that game. It wasn't doing quests. It was just going out in the world and just killing infinitely respawning monsters until you leveled up or got 10% or something like that. So it's like, okay, I'm doing all this stuff now, and none of this is new. None of this is original, even to the same developers. And the story is non-existent. So what am I here for? What exactly are you trying to do? And after I bounced out of Crimson Desert for playing for roughly about 30 hours, I started playing Half-Life 2 because it's been staring at me for the longest time. And I've been like, I'm going to play Half-Life 2. And the fact that I immediately understood as soon as I started playing that game what that game was trying to accomplish, and that what Half-Life 2 is trying to accomplish is showing off its physics system. There's a lot of physics-based puzzles. Like, very early on, there's like a guy who throws a can on the floor and he's like, pick up that trash can, and pick it up, throw it in the trash can. Or there's like what are those things? Like not a pulley, but like a lever, whatever we call them. It's a seesaw. And you have to grab bricks around you and put them on the other side of a seesaw so that you can run on the other side and jump over it. There's a lot of like breaking boxes and moving a box over here so that you can jump through a window, or crawl under here, and using water physics so that you can move through places and stuff like that. There's a lot of that, and that's even before you get the infamous gravity gun. Like, I still haven't gotten the gravity gun yet in that game. So it's like, I know what that game immediately is trying to do, and it feels good because I know what I'm looking for in this game. I'm looking at the physics. I'm looking at this emergent storytelling. Like, I mean, I keep saying Black Desert, but Crimson Desert, I'm playing it, and I'm like 30 hours in, and I'm like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? Why does nothing feel good? And I came up with this analogy, where this game is like if you were cooking and added every spice into the cabinet, into the pot. It's not gonna magically make a super delicious meal. You're just gonna get a salty piece of shit. And that's how I feel Crimson Desert is.
You hurt my soul. No, I can definitely believe that. Real quick on your Dragon's Dogma 2 analogy or example, I thought that was interesting because I remember reading a lot of what people were saying about Crimson Desert, being like, this is what I wanted Dragon's Dogma 2 to be. And you kind of immediately knew that person never played the first Dragon's Dogma, because it's like they went in with these different set of expectations and didn't understand what the game was trying to do.
Right.
You know what I mean? So yeah, it is kind of funny that people were like, they wanted Crimson Desert to be Dragon's Dogma 2, but I'm like, Dragon's Dogma has a whole different identity. Like, if you don't understand, and again, it's sort of highbrow to think about games with their mission statement. Like, it is a very intellectual way to look at like what it is it's trying to do and how it meets player expectation, and if that vision and execution of the vision actually is felt for the player. But when you're making a game, you have to choose like, what is this open world servicing? You know, for Dragon's Dogma, like you were saying, the pawn system, the vocation system, all that has to sort of blend together so that it's purposeful and that those two kind of mesh together. The fact that there's no horses in Dragon's Dogma, the fact that you have to walk everywhere is intentional.
Yeah,
like
there's
no
a fast travel,
philosophy,
and it's intentional. Like that, every time you fast travel, it gets attacked by a monster because they want you to fight. They want you to use the bonds.
There is it's a specific feel and flow to that game with its mission structure and all the mechanics that they've designed. It's intentional. So people that were playing, that jumped into Dragon Dogmas, that jumped into Dragon Dogmas 2 and were like, oh, this is not what I wanted. It's just like, well, it's the second of the first game. Clearly you didn't play the first one thinking that this was going to be radically different. But Crimson Desert, I haven't played, but I knew immediately that there was a lack of art direction at the very least, and also that it was a game that would seem like it wouldn't be out of place on like on Google Play Store or like Apple Arcade, because it just looks like it's just everything and nothing all at once.
That's
like there
crazy,
was no
Where the Wind Meets just came out, and I didn't even put that 2 and 2 together until you just said that. Because Where the Wind Meets is the same, where it's like it's just doing everything. You can do all this stuff, but what is it really doing other than being a gacha game?
Exactly. That's sort of what I saw Crimson Desert as. The more I saw gameplay of it, I'm like, oh, that looks like it could be fun. I'm a fan of open worlds. Not every open world, but I thought that it would be something that I'd be into. But the reception to it has been very, very interesting in terms of its opening hours, in terms of all of its systems that it tries to implement but doesn't do. I mean, some people say that it does each system right and that there's a good balance. Some people want certain systems to go deeper or to remove some systems and focus on other ones. I know that when I saw that there was like a town building mechanic and like you have to like do all the shit with like your NPCs, like the what you call it, the workers whole thing.
Yeah, so you have like a gray main camp, and then you get your like buddies, and they can come and they can like do stuff, and they all have like different like attributes. Like one person will be like really good at like lumberjacking and stuff like that. So what you do is you send them out to do jobs in the world, and they get like a whole resource with your camp and stuff like that. But the issue is that it's real in-game time, and you can't like sleep at all times. Like your character will be like, I'm not tired, I'm not going to sleep. So you can't wait. So like
that's funny.
It'll have a timer and be like, this will take 2 days to complete. And then you're like, okay, I kind of want this done now though, because I need this right now. And you kind of got to just do other shit in order for it to be complete. Which, this is what I'm saying, in an MMO, if it says it takes 17 in real world hours, okay, I'm gonna just go grind or do some other shit or log the fuck off and come back tomorrow.
They'll keep going in the back.
Yeah. But in a real game, single player game where I am trying to play this game and I'm going to play, like, there's nothing stopping me. So why are you putting time gated gacha mechanics and like dailies and weeklies into this single player game? Doesn't make sense.
Does the sun rise and set is that based on real world time, or does it have its own internal clock?
You know how usually games will do like 1 minute is 1 second or something like that? This is more so, I would say like every 30 seconds is a minute in this game. Time goes by pretty slowly. Or I would say like every 20 seconds is a minute in game.
Okay.
Yeah. Full 24-hour clock, so time can take forever.
You know, I knew you weren't gonna like this game. I was very surprised that you picked it up, and I know that you're like a gameplay systems, like you definitely like your action, you know, your crazy stylistic fighting and stuff like that, as do I. But I was confused because I'm like, this is like gonna be an open world game. I thought it was gonna be more checkboxy, which I like that kind of stuff. In my open world games, so I was like kind of surprised when you picked it up. But when your review hit, when your review hit as if it was like on YouTube. when you dropped your review and everybody was looking forward to it, and I saw that you you gave it like a 1.5 star. I was like, this man's it's a mismatch. It's a mismatch.
Yeah.
Because I mean, give the game to somebody who enjoys some of those mechanics. And by the way, I think you have really, really great criticisms, and there are things that I agree with you in terms of like, yeah, if it's not doing any of these things good, it might not be an enjoyable experience. I don't know. Now I'm not gonna be rushing out to get it anytime soon, but I did like the idea of a brand new, what do you call it? Brand new IP. With like a brand new studio kind of dipping their toes into it. Like I think that's cool. It's kind of like why Stellar Blade was kind of exciting. It's like, here you got a Korean studio that was only doing gacha games, and they come out with like a banger of a like soul, I don't want to say Souls like, but you know, they came out with a great action game, and it's just like cool.
But see, that's the issue. I've played Pearl Abyss games. I know how Pearl Abyss acts as a company. This is the same, like in this game, you can tame like an animal. So you can tame like a cat, but you have to keep constantly petting the cat. And you can only pet them 5 times a day, in-game day. And that's like 25 points. Or you can feed them raw meat up to 3 times for 20 points. And once you get to 100, then you can tame them. And then they automatically pick up stuff around the map. That's a carried over feature from Black Desert Online, except they made you pay real money for the pets.
Damn.
So like, this is what I'm talking about, where I'm like, I'm seeing this stuff and I'm like, I see all the bullshit that you guys did in Black Desert Online carried over. And the issue is that the multiplayer framing of like keeping you online, keeping you engaged, keeping you daily logging in is still there. But this is a single player game where I'm playing this game in my own agency. And that's kind of the issue that I have with Crimson Desert. Because once again, it's like, okay, I'm playing combat. Like people were like equating this to like Dynasty Warriors because you go through these giant camps, and it's the same thing as Black Desert Online, where like you go through these, like that's the whole point, is you go through these giant areas and you're fighting like 30 mobs at one time. And it's the same thing in Crimson Desert. You're fighting like 30 dudes at one time. You go through a camp and it's like, imagine a Dynasty Warriors camp, but instead of them all standing in one like area for you to like do one combo and kill them all, they're like all scattered throughout the entire like fully fleshed out base, instead of it just being like a square with nothing in it. It's like a fully fleshed out base, and you got to fight every single person in that base as they're all spread out. And I feel like that's very disingenuous to Muso games, because you actually press buttons in those games. In this game, you just hold R1. Like you hold the buttons to do the attacks. You don't tap the buttons to do the attacks. So it's very off-putting to me. Like
that feels very MMO to me, or very.
And that's a carryover from Black Desert Online, because you were playing on keyboard and mouse, so you would just hold left click instead of constantly tapping left click, or hold shift and up and do your attacks. Same thing with it's just weird shit. Like that's why I was saying like it's just a weird game, because like there's my biggest thing that I've been hating a lot in games is inertia, where one of my favorite things to do as like a kid when you play a game is to like spin your left stick around and watch the character like in their shitty animation like go around in a circle real quick. You know, like just the responsiveness.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
But like in a lot of modern games, and I think that's why I don't like a lot of the modern Resident Evil games, is that you will press up on the left stick and your character doesn't stop on a dime like you're like any other game. You know what I'm saying? They have a little momentum as they like go to a stop, and that's the same thing.
Oh, you don't like the in animation, right? That's usually that is left to create a sense of weight of the character. So like you let go of pushing up and the momentum, the gravity, right? Like it's more realistic basically to have the character kind of give a little. Zenless Zone Zero, actually, for not being realistic, has that animation quality too, where like if you push the character forward, they'll stop, and each one of them has like a specific little like like a.
But see,
you know, because
that
you're
works
like
in certain games, but like in this game, for example, like you have this. So this is the main example I've been talking about, but like, so you double tap X when you're in the air, or double tap square when you're in the air to activate your gliding wings, right? You also double tap square mid jump to do a double jump. So you're pressing double tapping square to double jump before you do the wings, but you'll always just pop out the wings. And when you want to pop out the wings, you'll be double jumping and you'll fuck up and fall. And same thing with the inertia, where you're trying to climb something and then you'll be climbing, and then as you get to the top, you'll be holding the thing and then the guy will fall back off. Or they have this ugly feature where you have to hold L1 for most things to like pull up like your character, like aim your character's head. And you'll aim at, for example, like this whiteboard, and you'll be like, okay, hold L1. And the inertia of moving your head, he's still moving. So you're like, okay, I'm pressing square to grab the whiteboard. And instead of grabbing the whiteboard, because of the inertia and momentum of you moving, it moves the prompt now from open this drawer to open this other drawer, or like steal this object or something like that. And it just completely fucks you over, because it's like the responsiveness of me being like, I'm aiming at that thing, I want to grab that thing, doesn't work, because the character's still moving and it's changing the prompt actively as I move.
This is so funny that you mentioned this, because this is something I realized, because Elise has been playing a couple of games recently. More specifically, she's been playing Saints Row the Third, but she has this issue with other games too. And it's that exact thing that you're talking about, where she goes to pick something up, but because she doesn't have like the muscle memory to be able to like compensate for her character not stopping at the right moment, she'll often like overshoot it, you know, and she'll be like, where is the thing? And I'm like, you kind of have to stand back and like look at it.
Yeah.
But because she's kind of struggling with like the sort of like you know, the like the moment, like the trying to dial in,
learning, you know, when it stops and stuff.
Yeah, so that is so funny that you're mentioning that, because I noticed that with her, and I was thinking, I'm like, yeah, that is kind of a muscle memory for me, where I know if I'm playing Red Dead Redemption 2 or something, the characters are a lot heavier and move with weight. And so when I'm approaching something, I know to stop sooner because that inertia will carry them forward a little bit. Or when I'm aim, like it is kind of fascinating that whole idea. But I think what you're talking about too, when you're aiming, that shouldn't account for the weight of the character. Because when you're aiming, it's like you think in a video game, like that's when it's your eyes are doing
but because you're moving your body, the body is adjusting. So like if you're aiming
that's
this,
weird.
The body will go like or move like this to like compensate for the head movement. So the body is moving and it's all like independent of the arm and everything like that. But also, thank you for mentioning Red Dead Redemption 2, because speaking of that, you have to, it's like Red Dead Redemption 2 where you have, or like a GTA game where you have to tap X to sprint.
I hate that.
And I think you just put a nail in the coffin of exactly how it feels. It feels on a moment to moment like you're playing Red Dead Redemption 2 until you get into combat. And then magically the game switches to like Black Desert Online combat, and your character moves freely. Like he has a perfect dodge. He can like swiftly dodge through things. He can grab people real quick. And it's that jarring sense of motion where it's like combat feels great. I ain't even cap about the combat. The combat feels great no matter my grievances with like, because I'm always been a proponent of action games should have motion inputs, and they should have like confidence in the player of being able to actually pull off combos and be stylish. Like if you want to be stylish, you have to be able to put in the effort to be stylish. That's the whole point of fighting games and action games. Whereas you could just press square. Like how many people have beaten God of War by just doing the fucking spinning triangle attack? Everybody, you know what I mean? Like everybody's done that. But you could get more stylish if you want to. You can try different weapons. And I don't know. That's the weird part of Crimson Desert, is that amalgamation of it wants to feel like a Rockstar game with the inertia and the weight, because like you said, like even like Mafia 3 and stuff like that, whereas like you can tell like, okay, I'm going to walk to my objective. There's a certain like realism that you have to take with the motion of your character. Whereas this game is realistic in the motion of your character and everything else, except for when you're doing your crazy combat abilities or trying to fly and glide and stuff like that. And it's so jarring each time because it still has that feel of a Red Dead Redemption game when you're flying and all that shit, like trying to like maneuver your flight path or gliding. It's so weird. But then you get into combat.
On that topic, how would you compare that to like Final Fantasy 16? Because Final Fantasy 16 also has that same realistic movement, but the combat also is very like,
I think Final Fantasy 16 has a better feel of what it was trying to do with that combat system, because like you said, it does get very floaty towards the end once you start unlocking a couple more
crazy ass
moves. But this game, it starts out immediately you're like slashing people, doing big quarter circles and stuff. I don't know, it's just I don't know, bro. Like it's a game feel thing. And Crimson Desert, once again, is probably going to be one of those games like Cyberpunk, or one of those other games where you come back like 2 to 3 years later after all those patches and the expansion DLC or whatever, and you go, damn, that was a great ass game. I don't know, everybody was mad at release about this game, bro. This game was great. Because, for example, there wasn't even a storage box until a day after the game came out.
Yeah, I heard about the storage box, like debacle, and I was like, that's an interesting choice.
Yeah. Or another funny part about this is that I spent Monday, I woke up like 6 a.m. as I usually do, and I just started playing the game. My wife went to work, got off work, and I was still playing the game. I like literally did not leave the couch. I was sitting there like the nigga on the nerd cover and would not get off the fucking game, bro. Didn't stop playing that thing until she had to forcibly tell me get off the game at like 12:30 at night. She was like, you need to get off. What have you done in this game? Like, and I was like,
she said that?
Yeah, she was like, what have you done in this game? Like, why is this game like you were just talking shit about this game, but like, why is this game like taking over your life today? Like, what have you done? And I was like, I don't even know. And that kind of fucked me over because I was thinking about it and I was like, damn, I just spent an entire day, barely ate, barely moved from my spot. And I can't tell you a single memorable thing that happened. Even though I got mostly through the story, I got to like the halfway mark around, I think it's like 16 chapters. I got to chapter 8. I like explored the whole separate continent, like the main part that's like the desert part where like the Rocky Mountain area. I like explored most of that spot. I found witches. I fought a couple bosses. I saw a dragon. I saw a train. I saw the train that's in the fucking thingy bobs. Like now saying it, I can mention all the stuff that I saw, but at the time I was like, kind of just, I don't know, just kind of just walked around, I guess, and fought some people.
Yeah.
Kind of just did some shit. Like, it's nothing memorable because the story in the world isn't memorable. And I believe an open world that doesn't have an engaging or memorable open world doesn't deserve an open world. You know what I mean? Like Breath of the Wild, with all of its emptiness, still feels engaging as an open world to explore. And that's only because of all of the shrines. You know what I mean? The shrines, the bosses, just the emergency of like climbing and resource gathering, getting new weapons because your weapons are breaking, finding new areas because you're just trying to figure out like, how do I need to get stronger to fight Ganon? Because you start out and it's just like, go. You can fight him right now if you want. And it's like, I'm not prepared for that. Like, having this whole world be in service of you as Link getting stronger and strong enough to fight Ganon in the end is such an interesting mechanic to myself, because I didn't even finish most of Breath of the Wild. I finished 2 dungeons and then I fought Ganon and I beat the game. And I didn't even have the Master Sword, didn't have the Master Shield, didn't have none of that shit. Didn't even find them. But I was able to do that due to just being able to have the luxury of the open world and feeling confident enough in my abilities and what I've earned and gained at that time to be like, okay, I think I'm ready. I think I got enough food. I think I got enough potions. I can fight Ganon now. And Crimson Desert, after you get 3 abilities, the combat becomes, because they lock perfect parrying, they put like parrying, perfect dodging, and dodge, like wake up dodge rolling behind 3 skill points. Once you get those 3 skill points, you're kind of just free to do whatever you want, because every boss is not going to be it's the combat's a joke after that. So it's like, okay, I'm just gonna do my Dynasty Warriors killing all the mobs, then I'm just gonna fight my little fake ass Souls boss and then move on. And I don't know, bro. I don't know. It's a game that just, it eats at me, because you're right. I knew I wasn't gonna like this game. And it's not even that I knew I wouldn't like it. It's that, and not that I don't like open worlds, like you said. I like open worlds. I played the fuck out of Oblivion. I played 200 hours of Oblivion remastered. But like, something about this game, bro, it just doesn't feel real.
What game do you think has the best open world out of curiosity?
Oblivion. Full stop.
Oblivion.
The way that quest worked in that game, just seeing people, the way that you can like talk to NPCs, it was just very it's very eye inspiring for me, especially as a form, like I played it when I was like 12 years old, I think. And that just changed the way that I looked at games, especially because back then I was like a role player, and I still do that. And I play Oblivion, I make a character, like I'm going to be an orc with a giant axe, or like this latest playthrough, I was a Khajiit thief, and I was sneaking around and stealing stuff and being with the Thieves Guild. Or I can make an assassin, I can make a champion, I can follow the story. All of the quests, there's still quests even in this latest playthrough of Remastered that I didn't know existed in the game, because there's that much stuff to do in the game. And talking to certain people. People can die without you even realizing, so you don't even get to see their quest or know that they were a character. It's just so much to the world. And you can, like, there's certain things that you can't even activate without eavesdropping on a conversation or sneaking in somewhere and accidentally grabbing a book and opening it and it being like, oh yeah, go to this place. And you're like, okay, that was kind of weird. It feels real, and it made me fall in love with Elder Scrolls lore, because you learn so much about the world based on the curiosity that they brought to you. Because of, you're in jail, you come out of jail, and all this shit's happening, and you're just thrusted into this world, and you're like, okay, what is happening? You can go join the Mages Guild, you can join the Fighters Guild, you kill somebody, you can actually join the Dark Brotherhood, you can just explore caves and be scared out of your mind when you run into the horrors beyond half of those caves in that game. Like, there's so much to that game that, like, no matter how many playthroughs I've done in that game, I'm still finding stuff 15 years later that I didn't know existed in that game, or new mechanics even that I didn't know existed in that game. And that's what I always will think of as the pinnacle of open world design. Because if you think about it, Oblivion is the reason a lot of niggas still be playing Skyrim to this day, bro. Like, Skyrim's the same way, where it's like, you can play it forever. There's so much in that game. And it's not even like, a lot of open world games want you to complete everything. They want you to do everything. Whereas those games you don't have to do everything. They don't even expect you to do everything. And doing everything is the wrong intention of that game. And a lot of open world games are like, I want you to clear the entire map 100% at all. And it's like, that's not what I believe an open world game should be, except for Infamous or Spider-Man. But that's a power fantasy, you know?
Yeah, I would say, I think it just depends. Because, I mean, an open world RPG has different expectations of it versus like an open world action game like Ghost of Tsushima or something. Like, you're just not going to get the same mechanics because you don't have that freedom of, you have to be you're a samurai, you can't be a fucking anything else, you know, like it's, but my favorite open world, I mean, maybe it might be Ghost of Tsushima, honestly. Ghost of Tsushima or Red Dead 2, probably. Like, where I was just like, man, this is like both beautiful, feels real, it feels like shit's going on, fun to traverse. Yeah, and then you're talking about all these mechanics that play into the open world, you know, like
Red Dead Redemption 2 does have a lot of mechanics.
Yeah. So it's just kind of like, well, I don't know that mechanic. Like, sometimes the open world just has to be a good sandbox, you know? But I don't think I like too much. Like, I've never been a Skyrim, Oblivion type nigga. Like, sometimes it's too much for me. Like, to be like, wait, what's going on? Like, what did I just break? Like, what quest line did I just, like, well, and then it's Bethesda. Their games are just so janky to me that I just can't. I'm like, this is fucking. It's
an acquired taste. Ugly. I do agree. Yeah.
It is. I think it is an acquired taste, but yeah, I would say those are probably some of my favorite open worlds.
I would definitely say Infamous Second Son is one of my favorite open worlds. That's only because.
Is that Seattle?
Yeah, that's Seattle. That's only because you have the powers to fuck around in that world. Like, if I didn't have the powers and was just in Seattle, I wouldn't like that game. But because I can be a smoke man and fucking fly around with neon powers, that's cool.
Yeah. I'm thinking of, because you said Spider-Man, and I'm like, I don't really care about Spider-Man's open world. I mean, it's cool that there is one because you have to traverse it.
I'm trying to think of open worlds where I've done everything, and that's the only two I can think of. It's Infamous and Spider-Man. And Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah, and I'm thinking to myself, like, wait, how many open worlds have I actually played? Open world games have I played?
Far Cry 2. Far Cry 2 was a really good open world game. I think it ruined the rest of the Far Cry series for me because of how good that game was. You just kind of just run around and be a mercenary in the middle of Africa, and you can burn grass and shoot niggas. It's fucking cool. You got to put your malaria pills in, and like each animation for like when you get hurt, like you'll be like you'll pull up and your fingers will be broken. He'll be like, or like,
oh yeah,
wrapping his arm and shit, or like stabbing the bullet out. Like that was cool with me. Like to do.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Would you consider? No, I guess because I'm like, wait, Demon Souls I always thought was like a real, but it's not open world. It's just like
it is levels technically.
Yeah.
Same with Dark Souls. Dark Souls, and I don't even like Elden Ring's open world, to be honest.
Yeah, it's because they're the levels. We have one question from one of our listeners, Cade, of course. He asks, "Oh, did you have any more to add to your?"
No. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't want to make sure I want to cut that short. He asks, "What is your favorite game with an asterisk?" And he gives his example, which is, "I really like Ononaki, but it is also unbelievably repetitive. It's hard to recommend. I'm not even sure I want to play it again, but I still think good things about it." So I feel like that's a lot of Boater games, favorite games with an asterisk, but what comes to mind for you?
I'm gonna definitely say Death by Degrees, low key.
Favorite? Like you wouldn't recommend it?
Like I wouldn't recommend it, but like I would try to be like, but play it though. You know, like I don't recommend it just off of like the control scheme alone. Like being like, yeah, bro, they made this really cool like Metal Gear Solid like fixed camera ass like Tekken game. Like it's super cool, starring Nina Williams. Like that's cool as shit. But you got to use the right stick to do all your combos. Yeah, and it gets really hard on the second half of the game.
Yeah, it's a bit uneven.
But if you go through the whole game on hard, you get to fight Heihachi at the end, bro. That's cool. Or Dirge of Cerberus. Those are both Boater games, but I do agree with the sentiment. Like Dirge of Cerberus is good if you don't got a bitch in your ear saying it's not Final Fantasy VII.
I feel like so many of the games that I love are like titles that I'm like, oh, it's one of my favorite game, and they all my favorite games have asterisks. Shadow of the Colossus. It's like, I mean, if you just want a not boss rush game, but if you're just fighting bosses and you know, some of them can be difficult for some people. I'm sorry, but Shadow of the Colossus is not difficult. But I guess people think it is, and I have a hard time finishing it. So that's an asterisk. I think Assassin's Creed Odyssey is one of my favorite games of all time. And I think how big the world is and how open it is and how much shit that you can do can be a bit of a turnoff for people. But I would still recommend it because I think it's just like a very beautiful world and it feels vast and you have like a lot to do and it's fun to explore that space. It's also cool if you're really a fan of like ancient Greece. Because it's realized so like accurately, so that's pretty cool. I mean, fucking Final Fantasy 12, you could easily be like,
yeah,
you know, like that's one of my favorite games, but like that Gambit system, like that. Do you like MMOs? No, yeah, you won't like this. Yeah, I don't know. So yeah,
it does depend on the like vibes, but I definitely would say like it does really depend on the vibes. Like I was gonna say like I don't even know, bro. There's so many.
It's hard.
Yeah, like Forspoken, I would definitely recommend Forspoken. What
would be your asterisk for that? Like
it's good. It's just you have to stop giving a fuck about what everybody else says because everybody
Oh, okay. So it's nothing to do with the game.
Yeah, because the reputation of Forspoken immediately ruins it because people are like, they only clip that one part, and it doesn't take into account like why she said that or when she said that. It's just like the same thing with like Dragon Age Veilguard, where like with the one party member that comes out as non-binary, and they're like taking that one clip out of context to be like, that's the writing for the whole game, and it's like,
And
no,
it's not. Yeah.
that's the writing for this one part. The rest of the game does not follow this. Just play the rest of the game, and I promise you'll enjoy it. Yeah. That's a lot of games. I mean, we just play Back of the Rack games, and every Back of the Rack game is an asterisk ass game. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. So it's just like, but I mean, if we're talking about modern games, yeah, those are the ones that I would give. And it depends on who you're recommending it to, or like, because he's saying like your favorite game with an asterisk, but I'm like, a lot of the games that I love, I don't think the asterisk is the bad part. Like, he's saying he likes Ononaki, but it's extremely like repetitive, you know, and he wouldn't want to play it again. So I'm just like, well, maybe I have to think more outside the box with my picks, because like, what's a game that I'm like, I don't know if I could play this again, but it is my favorite game that I would not play again.
When you put it that
maybe
way,
that's a better question.
Yeah, when you put it that
your favorite game that you wouldn't play again because it has something like bad.
Oh, okay, when something bad, I don't know about that. Because I was gonna say I can't play Hell Is Us again. Like the process of like having to note take and like go through the whole game.
Oh,
I'm not doing.
Well, yeah, that would be. Yeah, that would be sort of like your favorite game with an asterisk because it has like something.
It's a game you can only play one time. Like, that's it.
Yeah, I don't. I was gonna say one of like the Warriors games. It's like
Dynasty Warriors, but
Dynasty, yeah. But I'm like, they're all
that.
I mean, depending on who you recommend it to, it's just like. So yeah, I don't know.
Romeo's a dead man, but you just stop comparing it to No More Heroes.
Right. Yeah. So I think we're done. I think that's a wrap for this episode, guys. Thank you for listening. Thank you for letting us rant and vent. And we hope you enjoyed this one. And there'll be more to come. Again, our plan is to break this up into pieces a little bit. Probably like 2 pieces. You know, maybe some of the points that Sondi was making, and maybe some of the points that I was making about a different thing. Making those in separate videos. So what will happen is, like, if you watch this entire thing, you might. Well, niggas aren't gonna watch this whole thing, so it's probably better that that we're gonna cut this up into. Yeah. So yeah, we'll probably release that stuff first. I don't know what we'll name it. We probably just won't even have a name for it.
Yeah, what we can do is we can drop it on for heads up. So we could do like we'll release it in audio form, the full thing, like we usually do. So if you want to listen to it on the go, like in the car or whatever like that, you still got that full episode. And then we'll drop the parts on YouTube for listeners' sake. And then we'll drop the full podcast there too for folks.
Yeah. Exactly. And we're still trying to figure out Back of the Rack. So for those of you that are longtime listeners and fans, look forward to what our plans will be with that.
Spoilers, we're playing Samurai Champloo. I don't know about that. We'd have played it. It's just figuring out the structure.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, guys. And like and comment. Let us know what gaming gripes you have and why Sondi is wrong about Crimson Desert.
Don't do that.
All right. Thanks, guys. Peace out.
Ciao.